American public's collective throat. She's here with us in the studio right now.
What?
Now tell us, Karonika, how did you first decide that you wanted to be the cipher through which the cynicism of a morally bankrupt industry is channeled?
Yo, I just do what I do. Know what I'm saying? It's like people just love my ish.
Right. You are in the middle of your sold-out Damn Girl tour.
Damn girl, that's right.
Which is a heinous slap in the face to the English language, and will also travel to 47 cities, sapping the intellects of every young person along the way.
I said, damn girl, that's right.
There's no light in your eyes, Karonika.
I got nothing to say to the haters.
I hate you.
This is the Onion News Network.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
And we're back. That's right. If you were listening to us on last Sunday's edition of Free Talk Live, we changed it up a bit. I don't know if did you hear that last week's?
I did not.
Well, instead of doing
apologize.
And You're Back, it was Mother's Day, so we were doing And Your Mother.
Maybe I'll do it next year.
Yeah. Maybe you'll do your mother next year?
Oh.
Too far.
Wow.
Have I pushed the envelope on that one?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah,
right.
You've already gone.
Don't worry, I'll do it again.
Sunk to new lows.
It is Free Talk Live, for those of you wondering what the heck you're listening to. We are a live radio call-in program where you can take control of the airwaves, talk about whatever is on your mind. The telephone number that you need to inscribe on, I don't know, a chisel on some stone or something.
Use a Sharpie.
Tattoo on your firstborn's forehead backwards so you can read it in the mirror or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The number, 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. The start date is 05/21/2023. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the authentic Lord Reverend Dr. Captain Kick-Ass Buckshot Esquire, if you will. Joining me tonight,
Steve Classic.
And Nikki.
It's that time of month. It's time for Steve Classic.
Thanks, Captain.
We can't really name you Aunt Flo, so.
Oh. I'm only here once a month.
But you
every
do,
28 days
you do only
I'm back.
show up, yeah, you do only show up once a month. It's kind of weird.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's unique.
But, everybody's got their cadence, right?
Yeah.
So
I'll be in the Shire in 2 months, I think.
we're happy to have you. Yeah.
I make a long trip to get here.
You do, yeah, and we appreciate you for it.
But I love being here. No better place to be than in New Hampshire with the porcupines.
Steve had mentioned earlier, he's like, I hope X calls.
Yeah.
And you'll never guess who's on hold right now.
Oh.
That person.
Yeah.
Of course.
I saw
They've
that.
been
Yes.
summoned.
Well, yeah, it's as if what do they call that? Manifesting?
Yep.
Yeah.
You've manifested.
Right.
The
Just like
caller.
those chicken wings tonight.
That birdifesting.
Ask and you shall receive.
Yeah. I'll have 10 wings, and there they were.
You were just straight winging it.
I was winging it.
Damn!
Damn, girl.
We have a good show for you in store. We have lots of stuff to talk about. First up, and I literally, this was just published on the 19th, so I only bumped into this, I don't know, a couple of hours ago, literally, like before I left my house to come down.
Fresh.
Before having
Breaking
dinner.
news.
Yeah, well, it was published on the 19th, so a couple days ago. But Tohono O'odham Man, that's a place, Tohono O'odham, in somewhere around Tucson, Arizona, I guess, because it's out of Tucson, from KVOA.com, which is news for Tucson. Tohono O'odham Man shot and killed by Border Patrol. Now,
That's fake news.
Now, at first, that to those who don't live there and don't know what that is, at first that sounds like a relatively innocuous thing. Oh, some people were crossing the border and they got shot by Border Patrol. Right? There's probably some.
That's what you would think.
There's probably some bordertarians out there going, good. Right? I'm not one of them. I think state borders are just the most ridiculous thing and should be, gone the way of the dodo. But a well-respected member of the Tohono O'odham community has been gunned down by Border Patrol agents. The man's family is outraged and wants answers. According to Customs and Border Protection, U.S. Border Patrol agents from the, I believe that's pronounced Io station, were involved in a shooting that resulted in the death of a man. Family member says the man was respected and loved. One family member who asked not to be identified fought back tears as she told News 4 Tucson, "I kept hearing the gunshots and I can't get over it. It's very sad just to know who they were shooting at."
That's horrifying.
So, yeah, the short story here is that this guy, and this article will get into it, but he saw some people in his yard he figured were illegal immigrants. He called Border Patrol. Border Patrol showed up, shot him dead. Not the immigrants, him, the guy who called.
Mistaken identity? I don't know.
Yeah. I want to get back into this, but because of the serendipity of the summoning and the manifestation, I think we have to go to the phones immediately.
Can I summons him?
Sure, yeah. Are you ready?
On the phone now. Joining us is Jerome.
Well, hang on. I didn't do the thing.
Oh.
Yeah. You want to try it again? In 3, 2.
Joining us now is Jerome from South Carolina. Go ahead, Jerome. You're on Free Talk Live.
Greetings and salutations. Who was looking for me? Because here I am.
I was saying, well, you haven't heard from Jerome in a while, but I'm only here once a month, every 28 days.
Yeah,
so.
That's Steve Classic, Jerome.
Yeah.
Well, we have to expand the panel. More the merrier, I always say.
If you're footing the bill, yeah, we'll do it.
I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the guy that was asking about me. Your new compatriot.
He's not new. He's here once a month and has been here once a month for several years now.
We might have to get him on more.
Yeah.
If he likes me, he likes me. I can't help
again,
it.
if you're going to pay for it, Jerome, we'll do it.
I'll pay for it out of your pocket.
I would pay just to have Jerome on the phone. I'd pay for the call. How about that? I'll pay for the call.
Like what? Like $3.99 a minute?
Anyway,
yeah.
Anywho, I have a doozy. I mean, a humdinger of a story. Yeah. Excuse me if I sound a little outdated, But we got a governor here in South Carolina, and I could swear this guy's a Klansman. After what I saw today, I was checking my phone for some news and stuff, information.
Yeah.
And what did I find?
I don't know.
Governor Henry McMaster, the scumbag, dirtbag loser that he is, talked about sicking dogs on Democrats or making them so extinct that they're going to have to use dogs to find them. Now, you didn't grow up during the civil rights struggle, and I did. So sicking dogs on people, it's not funny. He said, oh, it was a joke. No, it ain't funny, okay?
That reminds me,
and I'm not laughing.
That reminds me of the joke that Obama made. I mentioned it last night when his daughter first started dating. She's 13, 14 years old. And so, the big news was that she's got a boyfriend. And so Obama is at this big dinner and he gets up and he's like, well, so yeah, apparently she's got a boyfriend now. I got 2 words for him. Predator drone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is one of the most classless things I've ever seen. Is somebody who's the head of an empire threatening their daughter's boyfriend with a Predator drone strike.
14-year-old, 15-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Look, there's no way in hell he's going to stick a Predator drone on somebody.
You don't know that.
This crap that. Oh, please.
Do you know that this governor in South Carolina wouldn't sick dogs on some Democrats?
Oh, I know he would.
Okay, so then what's the difference? They're both politicians.
I mean, how, though? We don't really know these people. We haven't had a real conversation with them about either of these comments, so I don't know if they're serious or not.
Yep.
Oh, you think that's not a racial threat, huh? Especially after what happened here at a local church.
I mean, I didn't say it wasn't a racial threat. It could be.
It's definitely a threat.
I said I didn't know.
That's the governor,
But-
okay? The governor, all right? That's the governor that
Yeah.
says something like that.
I mean, I
You
typically
didn't
don't
grow
like
up during the civil
politicians,
rights
and that's
struggle,
a
I did.
Yeah. Also,
not a surprising statement
Yeah.
for a politician to make.
I was going to say also, like, politicians say all sorts of things all of the time. Most of them are BS, right? Most of the things that come out of their mouth are lies, and
It's not funny. That's
Yeah,
not
it rarely
I mean,
is.
He's
I'm
not.
not laughing.
He's not trying to be a comedian, apparently. So
Well, we'll see what the national media has to say about this. Let's
Probably
see the
nothing.
Fox-
yeah, probably nothing, because nobody really cares, Jerome. Sadly, that's the state of the world.
Why? Because they don't care about black people, right?
I don't
No, they
know
don't.
if it really
they don't
has
care about
anything to do with
anything.
black people. Yeah, it's
Hey, they damn sure care about Ukraine, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
absolutely.
They're fighting tooth and nail to save their country. But people in our own country who've been born and raised here and served this country, they don't give a damn about them or the comments made about them, right?
No,
I
they
mean,
sure
yeah.
don't. I mean, the evidence proves that. It's overwhelming, actually, that they don't. They leave these veterans to suffer all sorts of trauma, PTSD, all sorts of mental problems, physical problems, from being sent to foreign lands to kill people that they've never met, have no actual quarrel with. It's a
Can I throw
ridiculous
something else
proposition.
at you?
What's that?
Can I throw something else at you?
I don't know. Can you?
I was in my mom's hospital room a couple years ago, okay?
Mhm.
You know I told you I lost my mom. It's close to 2 years. It'll be July. It'll be close to 2. It'll be like 2 years.
Did you look behind the
I'm
couch?
in there. My mom was sick. Okay? And I was there. So this, as I always was, to provide emotional support for her.
Mhm.
And I get into a conversation with her respiratory nurse. And we were talking about the military. He says, oh, the only reason you got in the military is because you were black. Hey,
that
do
is
you
a
know how much-
strange comment to
What?
make.
Do you know how much restraint I had to use? I said, I see my mom over there in the bed sick,
Mhm.
I said, you know how much restraint I had to use to either not kill him with my bare hands or throw him out the damn window, because we were like probably up on the fifth floor through an unbreakable window, that they use to
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you
unbreakable
didn't.
glass window.
I'm glad you didn't, because you strike me as the type of guy that's got a thicker skin than that.
Hey, I said, this SOB, and it was a white dude too. I said, this SOB don't know a damn thing about me or what I went through to qualify and get into the military. He doesn't know one thing about me. Yeah, but you know what he knows about you? You're black. That's all he knows.
Hey, you got to ignore those people. Come
It's
on.
always very concerning when I come across stories about people in healthcare positions or leadership positions or politicians, whatever, being racist.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, good.
That
These are the
ain't the
people that
only
are
time I
taking
dealt with
care of
something like
people and making laws.
Yeah. Yeah, politics makes it so that the least of men, the least of people, get into power and take these positions. And I don't know why people keep going along with it. It's a horrible system. It doesn't work. It creates nothing but pain and misery and suffering for everybody that participates in it and is subjected to it. And it should just be done away with. Thanks for the call, Jerome. We appreciate you.
Bye, Jerome. Oh, we dropped him.
Yeah, we sure did. Not behind the couch, apparently.
No.
Yeah. Is the governor racist? I mean, there's probably racist governors. Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
I'm sure this one is too. But
Not only are they racist, but they're psychopaths too, because the seat is what gives them the psychopathic behavior. Like, even if you test non-psychopathic, if there were a test, right, and you could, nope, this guy's not a psychopath, and then you got into a position of power.
Make that person the mayor.
Yeah, or the governor, or the
governor,
president,
right.
or whatever, right? All of a sudden, that person has to act in a psychopathic way. So it's not the people, it's the chair. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter what level it's at. Some people will be like, well, it's okay to have a chair at the local level. And there's some evidence to say that local voting is actually, more effective than like national vote, that kind of thing. But I just don't think voting is a good way for society to conduct itself. Why would you let a popularity contest guide your entire society? I just don't understand that. That's the worst possible. Whoever thought of that as an idea, they're like, I got a good idea. Let's have a popularity. No, I don't want the most popular person.
Well,
right?
no, it's not the most popular. Well, in a lot of cases it is, but
Yeah.
With the president, it's not. But the president really has nothing to do with you. I mean,
It's pseudo popularity,
Yeah.
right? Because of the way the electoral
Good
and it's all
college.
it's
It's
this
not really a
convoluted,
college.
and it's like, how does that?
It almost makes it worse.
It
The
does.
Electoral College.
Yeah, it does. But then again, just look at fundamentally voting, right? Okay, so this is democracy at its worst, right? The majority of the people gets to boss around the minority. Just because they are the majority. No, that's not how it should work. That's not how freedom works, right? If you want
Democracy is not freedom.
it
though.
is not. If you want freedom, then if there was, let's say, 51% of the population of the United States that wanted to follow, let's say, Joe Biden, for example, they should be allowed to be led by Joe Biden. But the other 49% of the people who didn't want to be led by Joe Biden, much less anybody else, they should be free to not be led by Joe Biden. But that's not the case. That's not how it works.
Right.
In fact, what it is it's a winners and losers thing. Oh, ha, ha, ha. We get to tell you how to live your
Spoils.
life,
Yeah.
right? And you can't do anything about it. Ha, ha, ha. And it's all enforced through violence because that's all the state does.
Right.
At any rate.
So there.
Yeah, Jerome, sorry about your racist governor. Vote him out, man.
Yeah.
See if
Because that works.
See if you can do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Oh, it always works.
Vote the bastards out. Oh, wait, how did they get in? Oh, by voting. Right. Yeah. Oh, my bad.
How'd that happen?
All right, so circling back to this article from KVOA.com in Tucson, Arizona, a man called Border Patrol, and Border Patrol shows up and shoots the guy who called instead of, taking care of the alleged illegal immigrants. The one, hang on, let me find out where I was. She told News 4 Tucson she wanted people to know what happened to their loved one, Raymond Mattia. That's the man's name, Raymond Mattia. According to another family member who also asked not to be identified, Mattia was shot and killed by Border Patrol agents Thursday night. She said Mattia had called Border Patrol. He called to request for assistance because there were multiple illegal immigrants who had trespassed onto his yard, and he wanted assistance getting them off of his property. It happened in the village known as Menager's Dam, a few miles from the U.S.-Mexico border. The family said Mattia went outside when he saw the agents. They claimed he was just 2 feet away from his front door when suddenly shots rang out. I had heard all the gunshots like it was a war. I just went into shock like I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The family is still confused as to what exactly happened that night, and they want answers. They told us there was an estimated 38 shots fired at him.
I mean, there can't be any reason for that. No matter what the situation was.
Just standing on his front porch?
There's absolutely no reason for 38 shots. Unless they don't know how to... even if they did need to use their gun for any reason, 38 on one person? You don't know how to shoot, and it's kind of scary that you're Border Patrol or any sort of cop,
Yeah.
It's like, you have a gun? That's terrifying.
They told us there was an estimated 38 shots fired at him. That's excessive, and we want justice, and we want to know what happened and why there were so many Border Patrol out there shooting at him. They don't mention the number of agents that showed up.
2. Probably.
Well, they make it sound like why they want to know why there were so many Border Patrol out there shooting at him. So they make it sound like there was more than, just a couple of dudes.
38 shots for like a couple of people, that would be excessive.
Yeah. But that could be 3 9mm, right? If they're empty.
Yeah. Before.
Ophelia Rivas, a lifelong family friend, said Raymond was a law-abiding citizen. He was not aggressive, he was a kind man, and he was not violent. She added he was an artist, a ceremony person, a traditional hunter. He's a traditional singer. He was always kind to his family and taking care of them however he could. She, along with others in the community, is angry. I have dealt with Border Patrol aggression and unmonitored behavior out here on Toho O'odham land without any regard to the respect and to the land and to the people.
So it sounds like they're Native American,
Yeah.
the person that called.
And when you're on the southern border, my guess is that this person also appeared to probably be Mexican to the Border Patrol agents.
So I don't know if that's where the mistake was.
And they were
because
like,
they're
"Oh, brown people,
racist."
fire!"
I mean, that
Speaking
cops
of racism.
seem to do that.
Also on Thursday night, Tohono O'odham Police, along with the FBI and Customs and Border Protection Office of also there on Thursday night. Oh, I see. So it wasn't just Border Patrol that was there. Tohono O'odham Police were there. The FBI were there.
What?
And Customs and Border Protection's Office
Because-
of Professional Responsibility. All are investigating the officer-involved shooting.
I'm confused. Why?
Maybe they showed up
Because-
after the shooting.
Yeah, to investigate?
Maybe. It's unclear.
I just, I don't know how we got from this guy calling Border Patrol because he thought there were illegal immigrants on his front lawn to he's murdered, like,
The
you know,
FBI
10
is there.
people show up, there's 38 rounds fired. Like, how does this, and I doubt we're going to get answers or any sort of truthful answers.
Yeah. Welcome to the police state. I mean, it is here. It used to be at some point, Free Talk Live hosts and co-hosts would warn of the coming police state. Well, guess
It's
what?
here.
It's here. It's been here for some time now, several years.
Back to boot.
And it's only going to get worse as time goes on. If you do any sort of the study of empires historically, you know that they don't sort of take themselves out. The only way empires end, typically the way empires end, is through financial collapse.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And that's coming too.
That's coming too. So
cool.
hopefully we're nearing
At
the
least-
end of this.
At least we have that to look forward to.
The end of this horrific
Experiment.
result. Yeah. But yeah, I also don't understand this at all. How you call? I mean, there has to be dumb involved, right?
Oh, of course.
Somebody was just dumb. Somebody did a dumb thing, and everybody else was like, "Oh, I'm dumb too!" Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
Right? You know,
I
monkey
just
see,
feel-
monkey do.
I feel bad that people still believe in like police and I don't know, like imagine calling the police to come to help you.
Yeah.
I can't fathom that. Like
Yeah.
we already know they're cold-blooded killers, they're psychopaths, low IQ, like they're not going to help you.
Yeah.
They're going to come here, they're going to shoot your dog or
Or
kill
you.
you
Will shoot the dog.
Or your family.
38 times.
Yeah.
There's just very rarely do they help.
Yeah, I'm remembering a story we did where they did a no-knock raid on a guy's house. They smashed in like a bedroom window and chucked a
Here?
flashbang. No.
A
they
different
smashed the guy-
time.
Yeah, different
Right,
time.
okay.
And
I think,
landed
I
in the
think this
baby's
was
crib or something like that.
Yeah, they flashbanged a baby in a crib. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh my god.
yeah. I don't know, like how much of a baby it could have been, like a toddler.
Well,
or
whatever,
something, but whatever.
anybody.
Like, yeah.
I mean, young child's terrible. Anyone, it's terrible.
And it
They're
was
just
the wrong
harassing
house.
people.
It was the wrong house.
Wow, I didn't hear about that. Not surprised.
The telephone number here in the studio, if you'd like to join us, is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. This is the Sunday night edition of Free Talk Live. We've got a bunch more coming up, including a politician found passed out on drugs.
This is novelist Tom Robbins. When my mother was diagnosed with glaucoma, her conservative Virginia physician told her there was only one treatment that might ease her pain and save her eyesight. That treatment was medical marijuana, which he could not prescribe. I offered to get her some and teach her how to use it effectively, but my father objected because marijuana was against the law. So my mother, who loved to read and walk in nature, was condemned to grow cruelly, unnecessarily blind. Tragedies like this happen all the time, but they don't have to keep happening. To learn more about medical marijuana, call the Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or visit them on the web at mpp.org.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Nick Harper with the Week in Review. This week, leaders from the G7 countries met in Japan, pushing for new sanctions against Russia to try and end the war in Ukraine. In a joint statement released at the summit in Japan, the leaders pledged to hold the Kremlin and those who assist it to account for the alleged illegal invasion. FSN's Chris Gilbert sent this report from Tokyo.
The message is clear, a renewed demand that Russia unconditionally withdraw all of its forces from Ukraine and end the war, which G7 countries say has claimed thousands of lives and inflicted immense suffering. It's vowing to starve Russia of the resources to continue the invasion, with heightened sanctions targeting machinery and technology Russia needs for the war. On top of this, the G7 plans to continue to dry up Russia's oil and mineral export revenue and restrict the international flow of Russian diamonds.
Negotiations continued in Washington this week to try and raise the debt ceiling and avoid a potentially catastrophic default at the start of June. President Joe Biden met congressional leaders at the White House for the second time. Both sides reported progress during the course of the week, and the president said he would be cutting his overseas trip short so he could return home quickly after the G7. But by the end of Friday, the Republican team said it was time to hit the pause button as talks came to a standstill. Benji Hire sent this report from Washington.
Real differences remain. We don't have movement yet. The damning quotes coming from a seemingly unproductive meeting between House of Representatives Speaker Kevin McCarthy and administration officials. President Joe Biden is in Japan attending a G7 meeting, though his team insists it's working hard to find a bipartisan solution to avoid the country careening into a historic first, a potentially catastrophic debt default, if the government fails to increase the borrowing ceiling, a move required to keep paying the nation's bills.
One of the stranger stories of the week came from New York, with Britain's Prince Harry and his wife Meghan claiming they were involved in a near-catastrophic car chase. The couple said that they were pursued by paparazzi photographers for more than 2 hours in the heart of Manhattan. The police and the city's mayor disputed that timeline. FSN Sally Patterson sent this report from New York as the news was breaking.
A series of paparazzi cars, around half a dozen cars with blacked out windows and motorbike scooters, were all pursuing the couple around the streets of New York City. We're hearing from their spokesperson that this lasted for 2 hours, this chase going on, and they said there was a series of near accidents. But we do understand that there was no actual car crash, there was no collision.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com.
And we're back.
Apparently so. And we're live. And we're on the air. And we're on the internet. And we're on like some satellite somewhere. And we're on podcasts and live streams and
video.
Interplanetary.
We are intergalactic.
Yeah.
What are we?
Free Talk Live.
What do we do?
It's a caller-driven radio show, nationally syndicated. Well, let me rephrase that. A nationally syndicated radio show where,
where you can take
control the airwaves. Yeah,
right.
I'm just trying to. There's so many different facets. Trying to put it all together. Sorry, Captain.
Yeah, I totally understand. It's hard for a guy who only comes in once a month, right? To remember all the.
I'm gonna have to go back to human resources training. I skipped the class.
Oh man.
It's a caller-driven radio show. Call now. What's the phone number, Captain?
Nikki?
603-283-6160.
Very nice. Very nice.
The domestic terrorist hotline.
Yes. If you're a domestic terrorist, call now.
Operators are standing by.
Before we go on, I want to say that this hour of Free Talk Live has been brought to you by Dash Digital Cash.
Yeah.
Dash is the cryptocurrency designed to be used for spending. Rising fees have made Bitcoin useless for purchases, but Dash continues to have fees less than 1 cent per transaction and has implemented some really cool features to ensure it is undefeated as the most useful cryptocurrency in the marketplace. Dash is one of the oldest cryptocurrencies, is widely available on exchanges and in multi-crypto wallets. It's easy to get, easy to use. You can start by learning more at dash.org. And a big thanks to the Dash DAO for sending us 32 Dash per month to promote Dash on the air. You can visit dash.org to learn about Dash. Again, dash.org. I just want to also give them props for their app.
The Dash
called
Direct.
Dash Direct, yeah, where you can spend your Dash at some incredible, like 150,000 locations.
With a discount.
And not all of them get a discount. Every now and again,
Well, there are some pretty
you bump
good
into a
discounts.
place where, but like you can get anywhere between 1% and 8%. Even I've seen 9% at one place. So
That's incredible.
Like it depends on where you live and what services are near you and all that kind of thing. But it's great. I really like. I use it at the Home Depot when I need to get something to touch up the house or whatever.
Right.
And in fact, if you go through their self checkout and you just select like gift card, you can just have your Dash Direct app scan, the QR code through the gift card and put in the amount, and bam, bam, bam. It just asks you for like a confirmation step. So it'll launch your wallet for you. Say, hey, do you want to spend this amount of money? And you go, yep, I do. It asks you to enter your PIN to confirm that you actually want to spend that amount. It'll spit out a receipt or email it to you if you've got a Home Depot account. And I was surprised.
Mm-hmm.
I went during sort of off hours the first time to try it. And it I didn't even need to. Like, it could have been the most crowded, busy day, and it would have been just as fast.
You don't want to be that guy who's like fumbling through your phone and like, I can't get this to work. And, we need assistance over here on aisle 2, and all the people behind you are just like, come on, buddy.
We've got some calls holding, but I want to go to, I believe, was it Hanfreen? Is that your name? In Texas?
Yeah, Lubbock, Texas.
Yep. What's your name again?
It's Anthony Garza. How are you guys doing?
Anthony. Hey, Anthony. So you're calling because we were talking about this situation with the Border Patrol, right? Down in
Yes, sir.
the Tucson area with the Tohono. Can you tell us what you know?
Yeah, this is one of the few Apache tribes that have a connection with Mexico. For the Tohono O'odham, their original sacred lands are in the Sonoran Desert in a little village called Kitovach. And a lot of their students and children are there learning, the tribe.
Hey, Anthony, can you just back away from the phone a little bit? You're a little bit distorted as you're telling us the
Oh, I'm sorry. I
information.
apologize.
It's okay.
But anyway, the Tohono O'odham have a sacred land in the Sonoran Desert in a little village called Kitovach. They're one of the few Apache tribes that have a connection with Mexico.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, there's a treaty with Mexico that Kitovach is kind of like a reservation. A lot of the Tohono Indians send their children to Kitovach to learn the culture.
Okay.
And without saying it and without sounding racist, a lot of these Indians really do look Mexican. So I think this is going to be a very interesting case.
Okay. Do you know anything more than we've covered in the story about it? Are you local to it? Have you heard anything?
No, I've got a few calls out to some friends over there. Hopefully they'll get back with me. Apparently there was a little trigger happiness going on is the only thing I've heard.
I mean, sounds like it.
Over 38 shots, according to this article from KVOA. So, I mean, it sounds like, somebody got trigger happy. And you know how cops are. If one cop starts shooting, they all want to join in.
Yeah. But anyway, the Bureau of Indian Affairs and the State Department definitely going to be involved with this one.
Oh, geez.
Okay. All right. And I'm sorry, you said you're with an affiliate of ours. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm KRFE in Lubbock, Texas, one of your affiliates.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Well, will you do us a favor as you learn more? Like, we're here 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern. So if you hear more about the situation, will you call us and update us?
Yeah, I'll certainly do it.
Awesome. Did you want to share anything else tonight, Anthony?
Well, we're the station that trained Buddy Holly. That's our claim to fame.
That's awesome.
All right.
Well, we thank you for the call, Anthony. We appreciate you. Have a good night. That's a good call. So hopefully we'll learn some more details about this, straight from the locals as a result of Anthony. Let's move on. Let's go to, we've got Robert in South Carolina. Robert, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, I just wanted to say that a lot of times you refer to people like who are heads of state as or even mayors as people with power. I never really looked at it that way. I always figured that those people actually have a responsibility, because you see, you can't really have just a group of people like the Senate or the Congress or the citizenry speaking for the government. I mean, you have to have basically, and sometimes you have to have one person who speaks for your government and who takes immediate action when it's necessary. For example, in 1973, when Golda Meir called Richard Nixon at about 3:30 in the morning, she was in desperate shape. He couldn't go to the Congress and say, hey guys, come together. We need a decision within 3 hours. I mean, they were on top of Israel practically already, those 5 countries. He had to take immediate action, and that's why you need a head of state. It's not a question, like I say, of power. I mean, after it was over, I mean, Nixon could have, they could have taken action against it.
So because there's somebody in power in another country who's doing something that you don't like, that's why we need to have somebody in power in another country to act upon it? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, for emergency situations and for situations where you need one person to make a decision quickly and to make it logically in behalf of a whole nation, you have to have one person at the top. You can't have a group of people.
That sounds like a terrible idea, to have one person have control over a whole country.
It's like a dictator.
But let's back up for just a minute. Let's back up for just a minute. You said something about responsibility. And it would be probably a better deal if the people who acquire these positions of so-called power, these politicians, if they did act as if what they have is a privilege and they had a responsibility. But I need to ask, who ultimately holds them responsible? Because it certainly isn't the people. It certainly isn't other politicians. Who is it exactly that holds these people responsible for their decisions, good or bad?
In the final analysis, it's the people of the United States of America in the case of Richard Nixon in Israel. We got to decide if he did the right thing or not.
We did?
I didn't. Did you?
No. Well, if it had been a mistake, we would have been all 300, how many of us there were at that time, would have been on top of him for sure.
Oh, you think so?
Yes.
So what about when, I don't know, pick a military, pick Vietnam, right? What about that? That was a horrible mistake, and it was actually a, what's the word I'm looking for?
Atrocity?
An atrocity, but it was a false flag event.
Yeah.
That led the Gulf of Tonkin, that led the United States into the Vietnam War. Who holds anybody responsible for that entire war?
Same situation. It's the people of the United States who went along.
So
with it.
where were those 300 million people holding anyone accountable?
Right here at home, sitting here in the United States of America at home,
doing nothing, right? Because they can't, because they don't have the guns. It's the government that has all of the guns, and they're the ones who do the enforcing. The citizenry does none of the enforcing. It is a false statement to say that the people, quote unquote, of the United States are responsible for holding these people accountable. That is what they want you to believe, but that is not how things actually work.
Well, when the people of the United States decided against the Vietnam War, we got out in a flash. Actually, the reason why is because...
After how many years?
Well, I can tell you exactly. It was a very short time after they decided that everybody, all the children, even the ones...
And how about the lies that got us into that war?
How about the people that were drafted, that died, that went there against their will?
Yeah, conscription.
I mean, I don't care how long it lasted. I don't care if it only lasted for a month. If people died in that time that were drafted and didn't want to go,
Oh, they did.
Well, it was the people of the United States of America who made that possible.
No, and I'm sick of this. People of the United States, we, collective. No, I mean, that's perpetuating the issue. we're individuals and we need to act as such. You know, we need to take our power back and we need to live our lives as free individuals. Cowering under the state and living in this collective, like, fairy tale world.
Yeah, and that's
like,
what it is. It's a delusion is what it is.
Yeah, like, I don't want to be roped into the we. I'm not a we, I'm a me.
In the final analysis, it's the majority of the people of the United States of America who make these decisions.
Yeah, and that doesn't involve me, though,
No,
you
it
know?
isn't.
And it doesn't involve the majority of the people. You know, it's like it's a minority deciding for everyone.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for the call, Robert. We appreciate you. 603-283-6160. Let's go on to an unscreened caller. You're on Free Talk Live. What's your name, please? Hello, caller.
This is Robert from South Carolina also.
Oh,
wow. It's a hat trick tonight. It is a hat trick.
Oh, that's weird.
Three
hopefully
from South
you're
Carolina.
hopefully you're cooler.
Well, I wasn't expecting to. I thought there'd be a screener. I don't know how I got through that way.
Normally there is. I made an executive decision because, well,
you're
an
executive.
Well, you did it. You made a good idea.
I don't follow the rules usually.
Well, I'd like to make a brief comment about Jerome.
Okay.
Your caller there. I guess he must be a guy who calls in all the time. Is that
He
correct?
is.
Yeah. Well,
He's not
so
a
I'm in the
chronic
Charleston
caller, but
area.
he's a frequent caller. Right.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what. I know Jerome. I've never met him in my life, but
Okay.
for decades I listened to 1250 WTMA here in Charleston, and Jerome is I guess he just sits home all day and listens to the radio.
He's like a
And makes
seminar
phone
caller,
calls
right?
because, dude, Jerome used to have his own music on a local show. We used to
No
have.
way.
They play the
And every
theme.
time Jerome called,
play
Jerome, I hope you're listening, buddy. Jerome is a Marxist racist who sits home and all he thinks about is his privilege and his victimization. And I don't listen to you guys a lot, but I was sitting out here in my back patio and I heard Jerome come up and I'm like, oh my God, here's Jerome. Well, Jerome used to have it was called Radio Free Rocky D on 1250 WTMA.
Okay.
And he had his own music. They would screen his call, and whenever they let him talk, he had his own music like a WWF
intro music
thing. Okay, yeah, he had his own intro music. Yes, Jerome is a legend in Charleston, and Jerome is a racist black victim who all he cares about is him being. I don't know who did what to him, but that story he told you about him being in a hospital or whatever, nobody said that to him. They never said that to him. Nobody said that to his behind.
How do you know, though? I mean, somebody could have said that to
No,
him.
people don't talk like that.
Yeah, I've seen things like that.
I'm from South Carolina. Nobody does that. Nobody. Listen, I was born in 1972, and we were taught from age one, we don't look at people like that. Everybody is equal. And I'm from an integrated school. We don't talk to people like that.
I mean, that's very nice, but I unfortunately not everyone believes that way, and there are absolutely racist people out there.
Yeah,
and they absolutely live in South Carolina.
Not here from where I'm at. Especially somebody who's a professional in the nursing field.
I literally know racist nurses, but
okay,
you know.
Well, listen.
We still love Jerome.
I've listened to Jerome for years and years and years.
Does he call like all the radio shows?
A lot of them.
Okay.
I can only name one that I knew because he had his own intro. Okay, he had his own intro like a WWE, like a boxing match.
Yeah.
And listen, I guess I might even met him. I don't know. But he may be a nice guy. But I'm telling you, this guy is blowing things way out of proportion. I live in Charleston, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
People love each other here. We don't discriminate. It's just not that way. It's not that way. He's not been, he may have been discriminated against by an individual, but wholly, he hasn't been discriminated against that way.
Well, I'm glad to hear
It doesn't work
that,
like that.
that there are folks like you in the area, and we appreciate you at least representing those who are not racist in that respect.
Is there another caller in South Carolina? His name is Ferris, that calls a lot of talk radio shows. I don't know if you've heard him on your stations down there.
Maybe if I heard his voice.
Oh, okay.
I really only.
But the name
I
is
just
interesting,
happened to be
Ferris.
sitting here in my-
Bueller?
Like Ferris Bueller,
Yeah,
right?
I probably know if I heard him.
So
I probably
he's a
heard-
seminar caller. He calls the Hartford radio stations as well.
I got you.
It's like, oh, here's Ferris, okay, and he always comes on like, you got to give me my 1 minute, okay, and it's always like the same story, and he's out.
Robert, was there anything else you wanted to share while we've got you?
Well, I was a little disappointed in. I'm not sure your lady there, what her name is.
It's Nikki.
No, I thought it's Ann Nikki.
Nikki, I was a little disappointed because I listen to AM radio while I'm in the car.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a professional. I'm retired now, but I remember that story. About
What story?
The flashbang being thrown into the baby's crib.
Oh yeah.
And I know for sure I was employed at that time, so I didn't have a lot of time to listen to the radio. But I really wish you'd be more informed about those kind of details, because it's just unfortunate that was a popular story.
I mean, how long ago did this happen?
I would say that was at least 4 or 5 years ago, gentlemen.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but those kind of things, because I have the same views you guys have a lot, and that is gross negligence on police department, on the police department's part to do something like that, and they get away with that crap all the time.
Unfortunately, there are thousands of those stories, and we cycle through them.
Yep, you're right.
You're
right. You're absolutely right.
I think this might be. I just did a quick search for flashbang baby crib. This was the first thing that popped up from InsideEdition.com, published in December of 2014. A grand jury in Georgia has decided not to indict in the case of a baby who was severely injured after a cop threw a stun grenade into a home during a SWAT raid.
I also just want to put something into perspective. I was 16 years old in 2014, so let's just,
okay.
Well,
okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll cut you some slack on that because I have daughters that are way older than you. So,
hey, Robert, we appreciate the call.
I was going to ask Robert what kind of birds are in the background there, tweeting away.
Yeah, you got parakeets?
Oh gosh,
they're going crazy.
I have no idea.
Or did you just recently hit your head?
Or is it a car alarm going
they're
off?
Probably Blue Jays, Cardinals, and Carolina Wrens.
Awesome. Thanks for the call. We appreciate you.
Or you just hit your head.
The Tweety Bird.
Tweety Bird, yeah.
It's got X's on his eyes.
You know. Well, I mean, man, those some good calls.
Yeah. 3 from South Carolina. It's a hat trick.
Right on. Go South Carolina.
Yeah,
Keep it up.
Thank you, South
Gigi
Carolina.
from South Carolina? Gigi? She comes from North Carolina.
It was Florida for some reason. I don't know. Well, Gigi, call in and tell us where you're from.
Just say you're from South Carolina.
We're trying to prove a point here.
Yeah. So let's see. We got, a recap on cops chucking, flashbangs into babies' cribs. We got
38 shots down in Tohono.
A guy on a part of an Indian tribe calling the Border Patrol to get some illegal immigrants off his land. The Border Patrol shows up, kills him.
Yeah.
Not the immigrants, the guy who called. Right. That's ridiculous.
What are the implications if someone is in your home, if you're on that reservation?
I don't know what the reservation law is down there, so I can't really speak intelligently about it. But
it's a rhetorical question.
I assume the reservation law is similar to any other place
like
where
stand your ground.
You have a right to defend your home and your property and that kind of a thing.
Right.
I feel like that's a reasonable assumption. I could be wrong.
Right.
My guess would be that they were not coming into his home, or he had asked them to leave, and that's why he called. So I'm just guessing.
Right.
If he didn't do that, then that's probably his
They could be
bad.
following that latest
But at
TikTok
the same
trend of breaking into people's houses, going into
Is
the
that
wrong
a
house.
TikTok trend?
I just saw that was a TikTok trend.
Did
Where
you start the trend?
I did not. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
have. I don't have the TikTok.
Okay. All right.
The TikTok.
I thought you were going to say I don't have the cat burglar skills.
I don't have the TikTok. No, I do.
He's
not.
like, no, I got the skills. I just don't have the TikTok.
No, people just are just walking into the wrong house and filming it.
And it's just supposed to be funny?
And it's
or
supposed to be
what?
like, I don't
yeah,
know
until
what-
they get shot.
Because I think these people were getting killed, like showing up in the wrong
Yeah.
driveway last month.
Oh my god!
and-
Yes, no, I
Yeah,
heard about
I think
that.
in
Or
New
the
York.
people accidentally got
Right.
tried to get into the wrong car because it, sometimes I've done that before. You drive a silver Toyota Corolla or whatever,
Right.
some common generic
A
car.
Ford Escort. Like there's
yeah,
billions of them.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you accidentally get into the wrong car, and I mean, yeah, they
Right.
got shot.
I had that coming out of one of these, office supply type places, like
An Office Depot?
something like that, but not
Yes.
that one.
Oh, okay.
And I don't want to give anybody publicity either.
Yes.
But yeah, the exact same kind of car, same color,
Yeah.
like same year.
Key doesn't work.
But just like 2 spots down on the other side of the row. And I'm like, why isn't my key working? And then I look in through the window and I'm like, that's not my stuff. Oh, it's not my car, right? You have that
Who
moment.
put all this stuff in
Yeah, you have
here?
that moment where you're like, wait a minute, what's going on?
Captain, what are all those Michael Jackson CDs doing on the front seat? It's not your car.
Why you gotta bring up pedophiles? Classic. Being classic.
Classic.
That's very classic. It's classic. Right? So if you say something and it stands the test of time,
it's classic.
It's classic.
Department of Redundancy Department.
Yes. Yeah, so the moral of the story here is, kids,
call 912.
411.
Figure out another way.
Yeah.
Hopefully sometime this Cell 411 app will,
Yeah.
be the thing, or something like it will be the thing
Yeah, call
that
your friend,
that allows
whatever.
you to crowdsource your emergency response to your preference.
Call before you dig.
And you'll have, something that resembles a market choice for your protection services or your fire services or your ambulatory services instead of
Or no services.
what you have now.
Depending on what you want.
Hour number 2 of Free Talk Live is coming up. We've got more in store. It's Free Talk Live.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing. To be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Caroline Malone. The United States will provide F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine and help train its pilots as part of more military aid being offered to Kyiv, pledged from countries during G7 meetings. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky made it to Hiroshima in person over the weekend in order to continue his appeal. He met face-to-face with US President Biden and reassured him F-16s from the US would not be used to launch attacks inside Russia. Chris Gilbert is in Japan and has more on the main takeaways.
There was announced very suddenly that the Ukrainian president was not going to attend virtually like originally planned for months and months and months now. He was actually going to be on a plane from Jeddah to Hiroshima directly and join in the last day of talks. Having Zelensky at the meeting added an enormous weight to the whole thing, which really paralleled the events that were going on in his home country. It kind of switched from talks about sanctions to talks about empowering Ukraine to continue its struggle in this conflict by giving it, as the US is doing, $375 million extra for ammunition, artillery, rocket launchers and aid, extra investment in its energy sector to restore the power grid. It's not just restricting Russia, but empowering Ukraine became the name of the game.
While US President Biden had to rush home post-G7 to hold talks on resolving a debt crisis. He held a call with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy on the plane back. McCarthy said the call was productive and that they will meet in person on Monday. At stake is a possibility the US could default as soon as June the 1st if Congress doesn't agree to raise the debt ceiling. The US wouldn't be able to pay for social security programs or the salaries of government employees and members of the military. Republicans have called for $4.5 trillion in budget cuts. Biden says he's willing to offer some cuts, but there has to be tax negotiations as well.
I'm not going to agree to a deal that protects wealthy tax cheats and crypto traders while putting food assistance at risk for nearly 1 million Americans. It's time for Republicans to accept that there is no bipartisan deal to be made solely on their partisan terms.
And Equinor, Shell and ExxonMobil have agreed to a deal with the government of Tanzania for the development of a liquefied natural gas export terminal. Isaac Lukundo reports.
The agreement is a milestone for the long-delayed project to unlock Tanzania's vast but remote offshore gas resources. The agreement is said to contain details on rights and obligations for the host government, as well as a framework for production and profit sharing. In a statement, the chairman of Shell Tanzania, Jared Quayle, said the next steps towards realizing the project involves a period of detailed engineering design work. Tanzania says the cost of developing its liquefied natural gas project is estimated at $42 billion after a recent technical analysis. Once off the ground, it will become the largest energy project in Eastern and Southern Africa. Isaac Lukando, Dar es Salaam.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Today, remembering the novelist and writer Martin Amis, who has died of throat cancer at the early age of 73. From the 1980s all the way up until the present day, he produced some of the most sparkling writing in the English language. The Rachel Papers, London Fields, and of course, Money. It was in the blood. He was the son of Kingsley Amis, one of the most successful novelists of the last century. 6 years ago, as he promoted his novel The Zone of Interest, he appeared at the Chicago Humanities Festival and was asked how to construct a sentence in a social media age dominated by short-form messaging services like Twitter.
Every sentence has a sort of minimum elegance, I hope, and euphony. And really, the process is saying the sentence, sub-vocalizing it in your head until there's nothing wrong with it, not repeating in the same suffixes and prefixes. If you've got a confound, you can't have a conform. If you've got invitation, you can't have execution. You can't repeat those, or an ing, or a ness. All that has to be one per sentence. And I think the prose will give a sort of pleasure without you being able to tell why.
Martin Amis, he died at his home in Florida. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
And the main news again. G7 focuses on Ukraine. President Zelensky made it to Japan in person, and he comes away with a pledge of F-16 fighter jets from the US and plans to train his pilots. US debt crisis unresolved. President Biden races back from the G7 meetings to get to Washington and be ready for face-to-face meetings with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy on Monday. And an LNG export terminal deal. Equinor, Shell and ExxonMobil have come to an agreement with the government of Tanzania. There's more from us on Twitter @Feature Story. That's the latest from Feature Story News. Caroline Malone.
From 1941, when an amoeba became the first single-celled organism to play professional baseball, to 1794, when Thomas Jefferson more than likely did something historically significant. The Onion looks back at This Week in History. On May 25, 1925, Tennessee teacher John T. Scopes was formally indicted for teaching the theory of evolution in a public school after a monkey called to the stand failed to turn into a human.
Sir, you have been on the witness stand for a full 3 hours now, and in this time we haven't seen you lose any of your hair or shed your tail. Can you at least articulate a single justifiable reason why Mr. Darwin's theory should even be mentioned in our nation's classrooms?
And on May 27, 1995, actor Christopher Reeve came in last place in a horseback riding event.
This is the Onion News Network.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live.
And we're back. Back for the attack. Wait, no. Back in black? No.
Snack attack?
Back in the saddle again?
Wow.
It is Free Talk Live. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. You can join us on air. Have you ever wanted to be on the radio? 603-283-6160. 603-283-6160. That's the number here in the studio. You can join us. In the studio, it's myself, the captain.
Steve Classic.
And Nikki.
I thought it was just
not
Nikki.
to be confused with Snicky.
Right.
Which is
that's your alter ego.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's like when you're
girl.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
I'm just Nikki on Wednesdays.
Just on Wednesdays?
Yeah.
Just Nikki?
Not Nikki?
Nikki.
You're unjust?
Listen.
I am listening.
Damn, Captain.
I'll just go.
I'm also talking. Why would you want to go? It's not Wednesday.
Wow.
You brought in some stories today, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah. Should we talk about one of them?
Sure. Take your pick.
How about the politician?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In lieu of a number 2 story.
Yeah. I mean, politicians are number 2. So, you know, this will be our number 2 story for the night.
Awesome.
It's not.
It's a great picture.
It's not traditionally number 2, but it's number 2 nonetheless.
Switch it up a little bit.
Number 2
sometimes,
nonetheless.
You know,
Number
we're
2-ish.
flexible here.
After the show, I got to go take a politician.
Synonym.
When I'm done, I will wipe my politician. This is from the freethoughtproject.com. Here's the headline. You have a crack pipe in your hand. Politician found passed out while smoking fentanyl-laced crack.
I mean, who doesn't that happen to? Totally a normal thing.
And no, it's not Hunter Biden, who is not a politician.
Not
by
a
the way.
politician.
Yeah, he's the son
He's
of
an
a
artist.
politician.
He's an artist.
Yeah.
Artist.
I really, really want to get into this, but we have some calls to get to. So let's go over here to Bata, also known as Major Payne. You're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah. I bet you he might know Hunter Biden. And as far as 38 shots, I don't think I could have stood up after that onslaught, even if all the shots came out of a bottle.
Who could, really? I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of lead.
No, I'm talking about even if all the shots came out of a bottle, you couldn't stand up after.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have been known to have a high tolerance, but I think 38 shots would do me in.
Yeah, well, a fifth is like 30, 32, so, I mean, if you're banging them and you ain't chasing it...
Really not that much, then.
If you have an et, you're in trouble. A buddy of mine's great-grandpa was a serious alcoholic, and the family did the best they did to keep booze away from him.
Yeah.
But somehow or another, he got a hold of a fifth of Jack Black, locked himself in the bathroom, chugged it down, and died.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, that's a way to do it.
That's my escape route.
Also
with a bottle of Tylenol PM.
I don't advocate that, but at the same time, it should be your choice if you want to go, and if you do, it should be your choice on how to do it. However, that seems excessive. Also kind of a waste of whiskey.
I think it was just, Grandpa, I don't think he wanted to go. I think he just wanted to get drunk.
Yeah.
They'd been against him so long,
Yeah.
But anyway, that's not at all the story I called in about. I want to tell you a recollection of old River Dave, speaking of lost callers, but before that, I'm going to tell you a tale of when I called the cops because a bunch of bikers showed up on my property to steal my horses.
Okay.
I had one that was mine.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I immediately don't believe you.
Immediately don't believe me?
Yeah, ask me why.
You don't believe me. Why? Why don't you believe me?
Well, because if bikers showed up, they wouldn't steal your horses. They would steal your motorcycles. Otherwise, they're horsemen, not bikers.
They want horsepower, not horses.
This bike club was a joke. They called themselves the Norsemen. They all rode 754 Hondas. Not one of them had a Harley Dangerous.
Yeah, I wouldn't call them bikers. I would call them motorcycle enthusiasts.
Well, that's what they called themselves, so I'm just, like I deal with Ari. I'll call her what she wants to be called.
Okay, fair. That's fair.
So anyway, these jamokes show up in like a Fiat and a Nissan and an old rusty pickup truck hauling a horse trailer with no lights, no plate, no nothing.
Mm.
And my wife had befriended this broad earlier, and we agreed to board her horses.
Okay.
And she owed me like over $1,400 in feed and boarding. And turns out that the fellow she was divorcing actually held the paper on the horses.
Okay.
So I got him to sign them over. I had all this paperwork in my hand, and these bikers show up. So I'm out there defending my place with an old double-barrel shotgun, and I got 3 or 4 of them in my face, and one little peg-leg bastard, he'd had been amputated somehow or another. He had a metal contraption leg, and he reached behind his back, and I knew he was packing a pistol. I could see the bulge when he turned around one time, and I knew what he was reaching for. And when he did that, this other crazy biker broad jumped over his shoulder and schmucked me in the eye. While this is all going on, 3 or 4 of them go around the other side of the horse pen because it was the ball field on the backside of me. It was kind of like public property.
Okay.
And they snip a couple wires and steal the damn horses and get them in the trailer. Well, by the time the cops show up, I'm standing there holding my gun. None of these bastards got a license. They got no papers on the horses. They got no plates on their trailer. They got no lights. And the cops let them leave with my horses. Because the woman that my wife had befriended had a husband that they were trying to send up the river for pedophilia. He ended up killing himself. I don't know if it was true or not, but this woman was evil. I knew her later in life too, and she basically gave her daughter away to a 20-year-old guy when she was 13.
Did you get your horses back?
No, I never did. Well, like I said, they was only mine on paper and only for a minute, and then old Todd went and killed himself.
Well, sorry to hear that, dude.
Yeah, it was a hard, but it don't make you trust the police at all.
I mean, and nor should you.
But anyway, you remember old River Dave?
Yeah, it's been a while since we've heard from him.
I know. I believe he's dead, dude. He was probably 85 last time I heard him call.
Yeah, I think he was 87, maybe. I don't remember, but yeah, certainly he's up
Pretty
there.
close, man. He was creeping up on his 90s.
Yep.
But the military now has got the problem refilling their ranks, and because they've been demanding this vaccination BS, right?
Right.
And there was a story old River Dave told. I think he said he was like 1957. I believe he joined the Air Force. And, once you sign the paper, you're government property. They'll put in you whatever the hell they want to put in you.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 75, 80, 90 guys, maybe 120, and they give them all this max, them pneumatic needles the military's got.
Yeah.
They go through and whack them all. And then they get them out in the sunlight. And two guys, not next to him, but like a couple, three guys down, and then a couple guys right behind him, and then the dude right in front of him just fell over dead within 35 seconds after standing still and letting their heart rate come to pass.
Ugh.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to be nobody's damn guinea pig.
Right. And when you do sign up for the military or really join any other government program, you do, in effect, become their property and their guinea pigs.
Right. You become you're a name, rank, and a serial number. You have a serial number.
You have to come to authority.
Don't most of us have serial numbers?
We do. They're called Social Security numbers.
Social Security numbers, but you have serial number in the military.
Yeah. Anything else you want to share, Major?
Oh,
okay.
Nah, that's all that comes to mind, but I think it was all right. You guys are talking a good show tonight.
Hey, thanks for the call, Major. We appreciate you. 603-283-6160. Let's move on to Ricky from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
That's the Confederate Commonwealth.
Thank you for the correction.
You know what? That's good. That joke's getting a little old, and that's all it was, But
wait. Is the joke as old as you?
Huh?
Is the joke as old as you?
No, I'm way damn older than that. I'm turning 50 December 25th of this year.
Wait. Your birthday's on Jesus Day?
That is not Jesus' birthday. First of all,
I didn't say it was his birthday. I said it was Jesus' Day. It's actually technically it's Jesus Eve.
Well, first of all, I mentioned it years ago about being a Gnostic, and I was a Gnostic since I was in my early 20s. At the level where you could actually.
I'm sorry, you're a Gnostic or agnostic?
No, a Gnostic.
Okay, I just want to be clear.
Like with a G. And then at this point, I'm a high level Gnostic. And in all honesty, I had something else in mind, but the people that are hosts on this show understand that. And one day in the future, I'm going to talk to Ari about it because I think it was something that really interests her. Hopefully soon. But back on I'm saying this is Jesus' birthday. The reality is that's a very old pagan holiday. It's old. Who knows how old it is? And that was just picked out, to be acceptable to Romans who are now, to Romans and also now the followers of the Jesus movement, that were monotheists.
Oh my gosh!
Going into polytheism,
I just had an epiphany.
Not his birthday.
Do you know what an epiphany is?
Huh?
Do you know what an epiphany is?
Yes.
I just had one. I now understand better, Ricky from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. You were one of those. You were one of those kids who got the combination birthday Christmas present, didn't you?
No. Yeah, I am. And you know what? It was even worse than that sometimes, man.
Yeah.
People didn't even remember my birthday. Everybody's out there with their happy ho-ho and all that stuff. And you want to know something else that's worse? On my birthday, ever since Santa Claus drank out of a Coke bottle, the year after, it's the highest rate of suicide of every day of the year. Happy birthday, Ricky from the Commonwealth.
Wow.
But I mean, one of these days I'm going to get more into Gnosticism. I got to be careful with it because it's such a broad concept. But really when it comes down to it is esoteric knowledge and mysticism. And at a high level, I mean, I'm, of course, into both, And I mean, it's funny because Aria and me have one thing in common. Christians both think we're evil. You know? And we're not, you know. I mean, I'm not, you know. I mean, you know, I'm not fully 100%. I don't know a whole lot of Arya's Satanism as far as she practices it. I really don't know. Maybe I'm hoping I
you'd
get
have to call and ask her
about it.
I think she's still
Well, I
on
hope
Wednesdays,
I
right?
can talk to her about it before she, you know, has to go off, you know.
So, you should call Wednesday when she's on.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna, and probably the
I'm
best
sure you
way
are.
for me to. Well, I mean, maybe you can mention it to her before even I do it, because the best way to approach Gnosticism. I mean, I don't know how much she knows about it, because he likes to ask people questions.
I don't know how
You
much
know?
she knows, but I would be willing to bet she is well versed on it.
Right. So, I mean, it's probably better she kind of just talks to me kind of about it, because like a lot of listeners, past what I just told you, you know, I might give a brief synopsis of like what the Gnosticism is and what a Gnostic is, but people aren't going to dig it, you know? It's going to be too much probably for them, especially with the mysticism.
Well, Ricky,
you know, I mean,
yeah, hey, thank you for the call. I'll mention it to her, and you can call Wednesday. 603-283-6160 is the number if you'd like to join us. Getting back to our regularly scheduled content, what were we talking about?
Calling from South Carolina. No. If we have another caller from South Carolina,
right.
we can go to the record.
The crackhead politician.
Yes.
You have a crack pipe in your hand. Politician found passed out while smoking fentanyl-laced crack. The scene is a jarring glimpse into the realities of the drug epidemic that plagues America.
I mean, he would have been fine if it was just regular crack.
Okay, but like, what about the delusion epidemic? The delusion that people are under that politicians are legitimate in any way, shape, or form.
He must have a tough job.
I mean, I don't care that he's doing drugs, but I do care that he's a politician.
Right? Yeah, if he was just a regular dude, like, do drugs, I don't care.
Now think about it. He probably bought those drugs with his salary, which his salary is paid by the taxpayers.
That means you bought those drugs.
We bought the drugs. The people in that town did.
He didn't even share.
No,
Right.
That's kind of rude.
It's kind of the public's drugs.
Cranston, Rhode Island is where this took place, apparently. The rampant hypocrisy and double standards often seen in the world of politics took a hard hit recently. No pun intended.
A hard hit.
It took a hard hit recently. When police in Rhode Island
passed out,
in a rare move of accountability, arrested a city council member who was found asleep at the wheel with a glass pipe in hand.
Wait, in a rare, what was that? Read that again. In a rare
move of accountability.
They arrested him.
They arrested city council member Matthew Riley, a Cranston city council member who has since resigned from his position. In a one-sentence letter, Riley said... Does that really qualify as a letter?
One-sentence letter.
Does that really qualify as a letter?
Sorry, I quit.
He says, quote, I hereby submit my resignation as the Ward 6 City Council person effective immediately.
This is like when you put in a 2 weeks notice at a job and they're like, okay, we need it in writing. So you're like, I put in my 2 weeks notice. This is my last day. You know, like bare minimum, like fine. You want me to write something down on a piece of paper so you can have it for your records that I quit. Here it is, written on a bar napkin.
Need a double spaced.
I don't know. I don't know if there are any states left that are not what they call at-will employment states. But at-will employment states have there's no legal repercussions if you don't give 2 weeks notice, right? It's sort of a customary thing to give your 2 weeks notice, right? Yeah. Some people find it disrespectful if you don't, but there's no compelling reason for anybody to do so. If you want out of your job, you just quit right now.
Yeah, just stop showing up. You don't even have to quit.
Hank Williams style, take this job and shove it.
Well, a lot of corporate, if you say you're going to quit, you're out right now.
Yep, that does happen.
We're changing your passwords. Your email is no longer active. You're out of the building.
It's like a messy breakup. Like, you don't like me? Get out.
We're escorting you to the parking lot.
I did work for a company where they were letting some people go, and like through a cavalcade of comical situations, The people doing the letting go didn't show up until after these people showed up for work.
Oh, so they already started working?
Well, they couldn't because they had changed overnight. They had changed all their, and so they sat down at their computers. They were able to. They didn't cut their badges off because they knew they had to sit down and talk to them and let them clean out their desk. But they changed all their passwords, so they show up for work. Just like, they put their lunch away, they talk with the coworkers, get coffee, go have a cigarette, whatever it is, right? And then they sit down and they're like, I can't get in. Hey, can you open a ticket for me with IT? Because I can't, right? And I'm like, sure, I'll open a ticket for you. Dear IT, I think you're about to fire these people, but they're asking for their password. Please help. Right? That was my ticket to them.
Oh, man.
The best way to do it is if on a Friday, you just have a fire drill and get everyone out into the parking lot, lock the building and say, all right, we're cleaning out your desks.
Is that the best way?
That's the best way.
It used to be they would let people go on Fridays so that they could avoid, at the end of the day on a Friday, they could avoid any sort of. But they've changed that now. It's a different day. And I don't know what day it is. It's like a Wednesday or something.
Huh.
Like
I've never worked a Monday through Friday job, so I don't know.
Oh, you're lucky.
Yeah. I'm more of a
I've never gotten fired.
weekend worker, unfortunately.
I mean, here I am doing this on the weekend. So
Yeah. But this is cool. And we probably might not get fired.
I'm actually, I'm kind of looking forward to getting fired or getting thrown off a job or something because, the whole go big or go home.
Yeah.
I'll go home.
Yeah.
I really don't. I really don't care.
Home and I will go
home.
Yeah, I really don't care to help you out.
All right. So getting back to Matthew Riley, a Cranston City Council member who was found passed out with a crack pipe in his hand. The event unfolded when police responded to a 911 call and discovered Riley passed out in his car. Body camera footage released this week shows Riley awakening with a start after a startle, I think that is what they're
Startle.
calling.
Yeah. Typos in these. Yeah.
And it's not really a typo. They should have put a comma here, but they didn't. Anyway, Riley awakening with a start after an officer shook him awake. Isn't that assault? A cop touches you without your permission.
Yeah.
Well, if not technically, if you're passed out and might be overdosed.
Could be dead.
Yeah, I guess they got to check if you're dead, right? The scene is a jarring glimpse into the realities of the drug epidemic that plagues America, one that clearly knows no demographic boundaries and impacts all walks of life.
It's just so dumb because people have been saying this, but now that it's politician, they're like, oh, wow.
It's the drug epidemic.
Looks like it's affecting the rich white people now.
We really have to do something.
Wow, like this is
end
such an epidemic.
End the war on drugs and legalize everything and let people get medical treatment when they need it without having to, feel like they're a criminal to get the help that they so desperately need. You might avoid situations like this, but no, politicians won't do it because of the war on drugs.
Well, this guy might have, but he resigned.
In the footage, the officer can be heard saying, "You were literally choking in your sleep. Someone was flagging me down about it." To which Riley responds with a defense about his sleep apnea, only to be countered by the officer pointing out the crack pipe in his hand.
It's not crack. That's a sleep apnea drug. It's my CPAP machine. It's a glass pipe.
Crack pipe isn't a CPAP machine? Oh, my bad. Upon questioning, Riley initially denies the presence of any drugs in his vehicle.
Oxygen.
A statement that police would later reveal to be false.
No way.
Who would have thunk it? They reportedly discovered crack laced with fentanyl, a deadly combination that's been contributing to a skyrocketing number of overdose deaths, along with other drug paraphernalia in his car. Now, I'm going to play conspiracy theory here.
Okay.
Hold that thought, Captain.
Coming up, we'll find out what the captain's conspiracy theory about this particular politician being found with a crack pipe in his hand is, and you can decide if his theory has any validity, and you can tell him so by calling 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is on the way.
You know how annoying it is when someone keeps stopping?
mid-sentence, as though he or she were asking you a series of questions? Avoid doing that. It sounds unnervingly tentative, and it imposes upon the listener to help you complete the thought. And if you're a job seeker, this alone could be a deal killer. An effective communicator sounds more confident. Complete the thought. Avoid making the listener impatient. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. Cutting through the clutter rather than blending into the blah, blah, blah will help you connect better no matter what the conversation. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook. survivalspeech.com.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Caroline Malone. The United States will provide F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine and help train its pilots as part of more military aid being offered to Kyiv, pledged from countries during G7 meetings. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky made it to Hiroshima in person over the weekend in order to continue his appeal. He met face-to-face with US President Biden and reassured him F-16s from the US would not be used to launch attacks inside Russia. Chris Gilbert is in Japan and has more on the main takeaways.
There was announced very suddenly that the Ukrainian president was not going to attend virtually like originally planned for months and months and months now. He was actually going to be on a plane from Jeddah to Hiroshima directly and join in the last day of talks. Having Zelensky at the meeting added an enormous weight to the whole thing, which really paralleled the events that were going on in his home country. It kind of switched from talks about sanctions to talks about empowering Ukraine to continue its struggle in this conflict by giving it, as the US is doing, $375 million extra for ammunition, artillery, rocket launchers, and aid, extra investment in its energy sector to restore the power grid. It's not just restricting Russia, but empowering Ukraine became the name of the game.
While US President Biden had to rush home post-G7 to hold talks on resolving a debt crisis. He held a call with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy on the plane back. McCarthy said the call was productive and that they will meet in person on Monday. At stake is a possibility the US could default as soon as June the 1st if Congress doesn't agree to raise the debt ceiling. The US wouldn't be able to pay for social security programs or the salaries of government employees and members of the military. Republicans have called for $4.5 trillion in budget cuts. Biden says he's willing to offer some cuts, but there has to be tax negotiations as well.
I'm not going to agree to a deal that protects wealthy tax cheats and crypto traders while putting food assistance at risk for nearly 1 million Americans. It's time for Republicans to accept that there is no bipartisan deal to be made solely on their partisan terms.
And Equinor, Shell and ExxonMobil have agreed to a deal with the government of Tanzania for the development of a liquefied natural gas export terminal. Isaac Lukundo reports.
The agreement is a milestone for the long-delayed project to unlock Tanzania's vast but remote offshore gas resources. The agreement is said to contain details on rights and obligations for the host government, as well as a framework for production and profit sharing. In a statement, the chairman of Shell Tanzania, Jared Quayle, said the next steps towards realizing the project involves a period of detailed engineering design work. Tanzania says the cost of developing its liquefied natural gas project is estimated at $42 billion after a recent technical analysis. Once off the ground, it will become the largest energy project in Eastern and Southern Africa. Isaac Lucando, Dar es Salaam.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live listeners, we are asking you for a favor. As you perhaps already know, Ian Freeman, the founder of this program, was recently convicted of various victimless crimes and is facing up to 20 years in prison. We can argue all day as to if the jury was mistaken, but that's not going to get us anywhere. What will be helpful is for you to write a letter to the Honorable Joseph LaPlante about Ian's character, how he helps the community, and why you think he deserves a light sentence. Saying things that give your opinion weight with government workers will help, such as if you've held office, perhaps you were in the military, you did some volunteering, you had a stellar career, whatever it is. These are things that you would want to mention in your letter. Ian has been a selfless guy that has always tried to do what he thinks is the right thing. It would be a sincere tragedy if he had to spend any time in prison. We do need these letters quickly, so don't put it off. Send your letter for Ian Freeman to 63 Emerald Street, number 610, Keene, New Hampshire, 03431. If you didn't get that all written down, that's okay. All the information you need is over at letters.freetalklive.com. That's letters.freetalklive.com. Thank you in advance. All right. So we were talking about this politician, Mr. Riley, Matthew Riley, out of Rhode Island, a city council member, found passed out in his car with a crack pipe.
What do city council members do?
What do any politicians do?
It's like the Board of Selectmen.
They just focus on they do nothing and focus on re-election.
Okay.
They sign some paperwork and
we need to have a street paved. Okay, how much appropriate? $6,000. Okay. Fill in the potholes and take out the garbage. That's government's number one obligation to the people, I think.
So in the footage, an officer can be heard saying, "You were literally choking on your sleep." To which Riley responded with a defense about sleep apnea. Upon questioning, Riley initially denies the presence of drugs. They reportedly discovered crack laced with fentanyl, a deadly combination that's been contributing to a skyrocketing number of overdose deaths, along with other drug paraphernalia in his car. All right, so I had a conspiracy theory about this. My conspiracy theory is this. What if this politician was buying his crack from, local crack dealer, and the crack dealer is like, you know what? I don't like politicians. Maybe I'm going to sell this guy the laced stuff, and maybe he'll die.
Keeps jacking up my taxes.
Yeah.
This guy.
Yeah. I'll show you.
I'll show you.
Yeah, that's not how it goes in the hood or whatever, right? Yeah. Wherever his crack dealer is from. I don't know. Just a theory.
I mean, he's probably in a nice neighborhood.
It's just a theory. The real question is, how do we get a bunch of other politicians on drugs and connected with this particular dealer?
Right. The dealer network.
It's just a question, people. It's just a
question. And
it's
just a conspiracy theory. It's not a fact.
Right.
Just a theory.
Oh, we have callers waiting. All right, let's go to them. Let's go to Shortwave Surfer on our SIP call-in line, which you can find all about over at sip.freetalklive.com. Shortwave Surfer, you're on Free Talk Live.
Well, first of all, hello, everyone. And with this politicians thing, with the politicians and drug dealers not liking politicians raising their taxes, it's just like how cops are treated in prison. You don't want to go to prison if you're a cop. It's a bad, bad place to be.
Yeah. So you think politicians don't want to go to jail?
I would think politicians would not want to raise taxes on drug dealers.
If they're particularly if they're doing drugs, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Get nice fentanyl-laced cocaine or whatever, crack or whatever, and just pass away peacefully in their sleep.
Boy, I wonder if the bartenders can get in on this in Washington, D.C. when Congress comes out to drinking, slip them a Mickey or something. I don't know.
Nice. The reason I called was actually about Cell 411. You mentioned it earlier.
I did.
And it makes some sense, but I do have a question.
Okay.
And that's, if Cell 411 is going to be used to connect people with like emergency services or police services or whatever, how would this work without the police or whatever getting upset about it? So, like, if somebody's breaking into my house and I use my Cell 411 to contact my friends, and my friends are going to come over to my house, but they can't do anything about the thief or whatever, because if they do, then they're going to be in trouble with the cops.
Well, So you're
Like if-
you're supposing that the cops are going to show up anyway.
That's true.
We're
But,
talking
like, for
about
example,
we're
right
talking
now,
about replacing 911 with this app where you get to choose who is on your emergency response lists, right? So, if there's a fire at your house, you call, you hit this button and it calls, all of these people. Or a whole different group of people. You got cops in your face. I'm going to call these people instead.
Yeah.
Or you have a security concern. I'm going to call these people instead, right? So you can tailor. The idea is that you get choice, which you don't get with government right now, right? So you get to pick and choose who's coming, who you're going to call for what situations, and if you don't have a big enough social circle, or I like to call it a safety circle within Cell 411, there are, as I understand it, I this isn't in place yet to my knowledge, but there are groups that you can join. I would imagine in the future there would be groups that you could subscribe to, sort of as a free market, sort of thing.
Almost like a club, a security club in your town.
Call it a friendly society.
Yeah.
Because while the cops exist, while the cops and Cell 401 both exist, my emergency contact network is not going to want to respond to, say, a thief in my house and shoot the guy.
Depends on where you live. I think depends on where you live
and who your friends are.
Yeah.
And perhaps that is an indication that that particular person should not be on that particular list of yours.
Yeah.
Right. Where so the idea is that you make these agreements in advance, right? So if Steve lives down the road from me, and I go, hey, Steve, you want to be on my emergency list for security? What does that entail? And we'll work out the details of what it entails and what kind of situations.
I'll bring my golf clubs and we're good.
Yeah, and if he agrees, great, then he's on the list. So the idea is to get people's agreement before you put them on these lists.
Right, it's not you're having a party at your house, come on over.
Right.
Yeah.
Although you could probably have that as well.
Good.
There you go.
Surfer, you'd be on my party list.
Sweet.
Anything else you want to say?
No, that's all.
Hey, thanks for the call, man. We appreciate you. 603-283-6160. If you'd like to join us, we have some more calls. Let's go to them. Let's go to unscreened caller. You are on Free Talk Live on the air right now. What is your name, please?
Is it me?
It is you. What's your name, please?
Oh, I'm Walt.
Hey, Walt.
I'm Walt.
Hey, what's up? You're on the air.
I'm going to give you another South Carolina caller.
Sweet.
Oh.
Wow, it is South Carolina.
Wow.
We're
Sure is.
Yeah, thank you.
That's 4.
What is on your mind, Walt?
Say again?
What is on your mind?
I was just going to comment on some of the earlier comments from South Carolina, like Jerome calling in.
Okay.
He used to call in to a lot of the local morning stations, and I don't know, everything he says is about race and this and that, and you never really can have a good conversation. But apparently you guys are familiar with him.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You probably already know that.
Well, yeah, his topics don't vary very much. There's not a lot of breadth in what he calls in about.
Democrat, Republican,
CNN.
left, right, black, white, very the duopoly.
He'll basically say whatever opposite you say. Or think.
I think, the funny thing about Jerome's calls to this show in particular, he just has us pegged as, right-wingers or Republicans. So it kind of just makes the calls comical to me because he'll say things that he thinks will trigger us. And we're like, nah, dude, we totally agree with you.
You're Trump supporters.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Or, no, you've got it wrong. It's actually this instead, right?
Yeah. So it just makes me laugh.
He does. He says whatever's opposite. I'm glad you have, in Jerome, where I live, Jerome is at least he used to be a regular caller into local radio. but at least you don't have Malcolm yet. I don't think you do. I'm not sure.
Don't curse us. I don't know who that person is, but sometimes
He's manifesting.
Yeah, you're manifesting that for us.
Or Malcolm festing. He's got his own party already. He hasn't even called yet.
He's gonna have his own theme. Jerome has his own theme.
The two of them. But I love you guys' show. I'm actually from Derry. I've been living down here for 30 years.
Derry, New Hampshire, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. My parents are still up there, and my sister lives in Barrington.
Are you coming up for Fork Fest or Pork Fest?
I don't know if I'm going to come up in the summer. I always come up for Christmas.
Okay.
They come down for Thanksgiving.
That's Ricky's birthday.
It's a regular thing. But I still enjoy New Hampshire. So, and I know a lot of people that went to Keene State.
Keg Stand University?
Is that what you call it?
That's what somebody, a guy who used to host or co-host this show, actually went to Keene State University, and he's the one that I got that from. He calls it Keg Stand University because, all the kids want to drink.
Yeah, I guess so.
I thought it was hilarious.
But anyway, I really just wanted to make that quick comment that I listen down here. I'm in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, which is a suburb of Charleston. It's like Bedford to Manchester.
What station do you listen to?
WTMA. One of your callers mentioned that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Say again?
No, I'm just saying that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So I listen to you guys all the time because I like live radio. Instead of pre-recorded reruns,
right?
Run all the time.
It's tough to call into the show if it's a rerun. The lines are always busy.
Yeah. So I just wanted to tell you I enjoy your show. Stay away from Jerome and Malcolm if he ever calls.
Yeah, we got it. Well, hey, thank you so much for the call, and feel free to call us again, okay? 603-283-6160. It is a South Carolina kind of day.
Yeah.
What if
What is that, number 5?
Can Jerome call back?
No.
See, we had two Roberts.
He's probably out to another station.
Two Roberts, a Jerome, and then this guy. Was there a fifth one?
No, that was four.
Was that
I think
four?
that was the fourth one from South Carolina.
May the
Still a
fourth
lot.
be with you.
Yeah.
Huh?
Moving right along, let's go to another unscreened caller. What is your name, please? You are live on the radio.
This is Talk. Tango Alpha Whiskey Kilo.
What?
Talk.
Who?
Talk.
Tango
Alpha Whiskey Kilo. Talk.
Hey,
I'm
Talk.
Calling from the great would-be state, the would-be great state of Texas.
What is on your mind tonight? Why are you calling?
Well, I lied to you guys. I called earlier. I was like a minor bird. I heard something that said, I don't like you guys, but I love you. No, BS. Actually, I like you, and I'm trying very much to love you. That's the real truth. Anyway, so here's a challenge. I've got a challenge for you.
Okay.
Now, I'm the guy that read everything that Ayn Rand wrote.
Okay.
And I was curious. I've got a challenge, and you can't complete it tonight. I've got a challenge for you. It's I don't like the expression "devil's advocate." How about something like "best contrarian"? Be your best contrarian.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get some arguments against what not against New Hampshire seceding. More power to you. I hope you succeed. I'll move there. I'll give up everything I own. I'll sell everything, and I'll move if you succeed. But
that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for people to move here and help us
Yeah.
secede.
I was anticipating your response, but here's the thing. my challenge is for you to play the best contrarian and give me arguments. I want to know if you understand. And I don't want you to, mine. I love the minor bird. What a beautiful creature. I don't want you to parrot anything you've heard or do any kind of minor response. But I want you to tell me in your own words, work up something in your free time.
Okay, what is it? We're kind of like
arguments against libertarian. Now, what I want you to focus on, especially on crime, on the evils or the problems with our world. When you're talking about bribery, corruption, when we're talking about the police.
I mean, I've heard hundreds of arguments against libertarianism all day, so I mean, I could parrot some, but
so you want
none
us to
I would
be,
actually believe in.
If you consider the problems, like if like say New Hampshire was to secede, you would be invaded. You'd be invaded by New Yorkers, criminal gangs, for one thing. So the first thing you need is a honest police force. No, good luck.
I mean, we're all most of the people that live here are armed.
Yeah.
So
I could tell you something
good luck.
happened to me recently. I could tell you something happened to me recently, but you wouldn't even believe it. You wouldn't even believe what's going on.
Okay, so let's stop there for a minute because that's a lot to digest, and also. This is Free Talk Live, where you are free to call in and take control of the airwaves and talk about whatever you want. However, you are not free to call in and take control of the hosts and the co-hosts and give them some insane exercise that is going to lead to what? What's the point of this exercise?
No, I think he wants us to be contrarian to why we shouldn't.
I understand what he's asking for. I'm asking
the great debaters. Have you seen the great debaters? As far as someone that's a great debater can take either side of the argument and be brilliant. That's the great debate.
Yeah, of course, but at a certain point, you're the person that's taking either side of the argument is being inauthentic, and they're lying to either themselves or somebody else. Because if you're arguing something that you truly believe in, like I could, I have a million talking points against libertarianism because I hear it all day, right? What about the roads? What about the police? But I don't actually believe in it.
They can say, this is my argument, my best argument, but this is the argument against my best argument.
I just don't have a real reason to be inauthentic and have dumb conversations that are meaningless. It's like
the reason that I'm able to argue for the reduction of the state, the elimination of the state, isn't because I'm good at debate. In fact, I'm horrible at debating. I am not the master debater.
No, you're brilliant.
Well, thank you, but I'm seriously, I'm not good. The only reason you think I'm good at it is because I am speaking from facts, evidence, logic, and from the heart, right? Because
if you'll remember, I called. Maybe you don't remember. I'm the inventor, and here's the thing on the intellectual property and such. I was so offended by not you guys, but just the argument against the work that I do when it's like the worst thing that someone can do, the most offensive thing that someone can do is sit on their rear end and devalue what we inventors do, and that there is a government that allows us to capture our intellectual property for 20 years or whatever it is, if that's pharmaceutical or whatever, which, I think they've proven themselves to be, the most corrupt business.
All right, so I have a question for you.
On the planet.
On the topic of intellectual property, if I have an idea and 2 days later, Captain has the same idea, completely independent of me, I didn't tell him my idea, he didn't hear of it anywhere. I didn't post it on Facebook. How am I to say that just because I had that idea first, that it's my property when any person could have the same idea and create those same things? Like, why am I entitled to it because I was the first one?
Some property, which some of the things I've developed some of the things I'm developing right now are taking years of work. It has to do with science. I know physics and electronics and chemistry and a bunch of stuff, and it's very difficult. And one of the things I'm working on, I'll reveal it to the whole world. I want to clean up the plastic crap, the plastic dump, and one of them, one of the big ones, is Pacific Ocean.
Could you be more Pacific?
You're such a cunning linguist.
These jars, these jars, the ocean circulation accumulates.
He's being Pacific.
I got to stop you right there. I am a musician. I make parody songs. I also create original heavy metal music. You can find out more about that over at CaptainKickass.com if you so choose, or any of the listeners out there.
Cool.
However, I am against intellectual property laws because I actually think that it's good press for me. Right? If somebody gets my music, makes a copy of it, shares it with their friends, far out, solid, and right on, man. I'm going to gain another friend.
You get paid for what you do.
All right, I'm not going to talk over you anymore. So that gains me more fans, right? Metallica was wrong with their suit against Napster for file sharing because Metallica alienated a large part of their fan base by making that lawsuit. What they should have done instead was nothing and allowed it to continue like every other artist did and reap the benefits off of that, because I guarantee you that the fans who listen to their pirated, quote unquote, it's not even pirated, it's a copy. It's a copy. Copying is not theft. The fans who listened to a copy of their music went to their concert, paid their ticket price, bought their T-shirt, bought whatever other merchandise they were selling, probably bought their next album or whatever it is. Bought the box set, whatever, went to their reunion show for the 14th time or whatever it is, right? That's how you get fans of your art or your work. So if you are relying on government law to provide you with income based on your idea, you are barking up the wrong tree. And in fact, you are engaging in theft yourself. That's IP law.
Nicely said.
All right, moving right along. Whoa.
Oh.
That's weird. We had two Sarahs in New Mexico on the board, and I was like, whoa. But one of them dropped off. Sarah, are you there?
Yes, I just want to bring up, do you put all the same state people in a row? It seems like so.
What do you mean?
No, I think they do that amongst themselves. They must.
What I'm sorry, what's the state people?
Because typically, and she's right based on what I've observed too. I mean, we just had a bunch of South Carolina callers in a row, and a lot of the times we'll have our New Mexico callers all call at the end of the show. So it seems
they kind of group themselves
you guys
up.
are just
It's a time zone thing, I think.
Might be.
Yeah, maybe. I just want to mention that,
Hey, Sarah, I'm sorry. We were close to the break. Can you hang on? Well, I want to hear what you have to say. Stand by. We'll bring you back. 603-283-6160. You, too, can find out what Sarah from New Mexico has called about. Coming up, hour number 3 of Free Talk Live is next. 603-283-6160.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
Sunfest is on the line in California.
Yeah, the greatest danger is that they're destroying the sun and the earth.
Whoa. Slow down, Sunfest. Slow down. Who is destroying the sun?
The economy. Everything that's happening is a job hunt. It's a job tax.
What are you talking about?
Definitely. The sun is waning, the water is rising, and we need the sun to dry it. When you have an economy that's creating jobs on a war scale, 24 hours a day. The cosmos can't keep up with it, let alone the sun. There's Star Andromeda, which is hurling at us. If you're not informed, you can go out and get the information.
That's our name tonight.
Stop your sexist attack on women, whereas you hear anything
You
that
are
the men
so
have to say.
outrageous. Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Caroline Malone. The United States will provide F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine and help train its pilots as part of more military aid being offered to Kyiv, pledged from countries during G7 meetings. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky made it to Hiroshima in person over the weekend in order to continue his appeal. He met face-to-face with US President Biden and reassured him F-16s from the US would not be used to launch attacks inside Russia. Chris Gilbert is in Japan and has more on the main takeaways.
There was announced very suddenly that the Ukrainian president was not going to attend virtually like originally planned for months and months and months now. He was actually going to be on a plane from Jeddah to Hiroshima directly and join in the last day of talks. Having Zelensky at the meeting added an enormous weight to the whole thing, which really paralleled the events that were going on in his home country. It kind of switched from talks about sanctions to talks about empowering Ukraine to continue its struggle in this conflict by giving it, as the US is doing, $375 million extra for ammunition, artillery, rocket launchers, and aid, extra investment in its energy sector to restore the power grid. It's not just restricting Russia, but empowering Ukraine became the name of the game.
While US President Biden had to rush home post-G7 to hold talks on resolving a debt crisis. He held a call with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy on the plane back. McCarthy said the call was productive and that they will meet in person on Monday. At stake is a possibility the US could default as soon as June the 1st if Congress doesn't agree to raise the debt ceiling. The US wouldn't be able to pay for Social Security programs or the salaries of government employees and members of the military. Republicans have called for $4.5 trillion in budget cuts. Biden says he's willing to offer some cuts, but there has to be tax negotiations as well.
I'm not going to agree to a deal that protects wealthy tax cheats and crypto traders while putting food assistance at risk for nearly 1 million Americans. And it's time for Republicans to accept that there is no bipartisan deal to be made solely on their partisan terms.
And Equinor, Shell and ExxonMobil have agreed to a deal with the government of Tanzania for the development of a liquefied natural gas export terminal. Isaac Lukundo reports.
The agreement is a milestone for the long-delayed project to unlock Tanzania's vast but remote offshore gas resources. The agreement is said to contain details on rights and obligations for the host government, as well as a framework for production and profit sharing. In a statement, the chairman of Shell Tanzania, Jared Quayle, said the next steps towards realizing the project involves a period of detailed engineering design work. Tanzania says the cost of developing its liquefied natural gas project is estimated at $42 billion after a recent technical analysis. Once off the ground, it will become the largest energy project in Eastern and Southern Africa. Isaac Lukando, Dar es Salaam.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Today, remembering the novelist and writer Martin Amis, who has died of throat cancer at the early age of 73. From the 1980s all the way up until the present day, he produced some of the most sparkling writing in the English language. The Rachel Papers, London Fields, and of course, Money. It was in the blood. He was the son of Kingsley Amis, one of the most successful novelists of the last century. 6 years ago, as he promoted his novel The Zone of Interest, he appeared at the Chicago Humanities Festival and was asked how to construct a sentence in a social media age dominated by short-form messaging services like Twitter.
Every sentence has a sort of minimum elegance, I hope, and euphony. And really, the process is saying the sentence, sub-vocalizing it in your head until there's nothing wrong with it, not repeating in the same suffixes and prefixes. If you've got a confound, you can't have a conform. If you've got invitation, you can't have execution. You can't repeat those, or an ing, or a ness. All that has to be one per sentence. And I think the prose will give a sort of pleasure without you being able to tell why.
Martin Amis. He died at his home in Florida. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
And the main news again. G7 focuses on Ukraine. President Zelensky made it to Japan in person, and he comes away with a pledge of F-16 fighter jets from the US and plans to train his pilots. US debt crisis unresolved. President Biden races back from the G7 meetings to get to Washington and be ready for face-to-face meetings with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy on Monday. And an LNG export terminal deal. Equinor, Shell and ExxonMobil have come to an agreement with the government of Tanzania. There's more from us on Twitter at Feature Story. That's the latest from Feature Story News. Caroline Malone.
Hello, this is anchor Doyle Redland. I have just been informed that my 40-year contract with the Onion Radio News expired 2 minutes ago. A brief extension has been added to my contract to allow me to say goodbye to you, my faceless listeners. I've been reading the news out loud on the air for a very long time now, and the words to describe my feelings are difficult to find. Steve, what are you doing? This is my big moment.
I'm getting the word now that you have to leave the studio right now.
But where will I go?
Now.
Well, goodbye, everyone. I'm just coming back for my hat. No, it's my hat. I just need it and I'll go. There's no need to get pushy. Moose! Rocco, I thought we were friends.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
And we're back. Very rock and roll.
Oh, yeah. It's
very rock and roll.
It's the triplet echo.
We've got the delay. We are going to rock and roll all night long. All night long. I got to work in the morning. It is Free Talk Live. The telephone number in the studio, if you'd like to join us, is 603-283-6160. Again, call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. We're talking about stuff, but if you don't like what we're talking about, change the subject. It's up to you. 603-283-6160. In the studio, it's
Steve Classic.
Nikki.
And I am your host.
And Captain.
And
Who am I?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Nobody knows who I am. I guess it's not important.
Captain.com.
CaptainKickass.com. Yeah, I wish I had Captain.com, but no.
You could.
No, I can't.
Too probably
expensive.
$10 million.
Yeah, it's way too expensive. Yeah. Before we go on, I need to say thank you to JCOM3030, who is a member of our AMPS program. AMPS stands for Advertise, Market, Promote, and Support. This is a program where you can contribute some amount of money to help get this radio program onto more radio stations. If you enjoy the hosts, the co-hosts, the callers, and the topics that we bring, if you enjoy the subject matter, the perspective of peace, liberty, and prosperity that we come from, please consider becoming an amplifier over at amps.freetalklive.com. JCOM 3030 is a diamond-level contributor, which means they give an absurd amount of money to us because they enjoy the program and want to see the message of freedom spread. So thank you to JCOM 3030 for your contribution to this program. We can't do it without you. If you want to become an amplifier, visit amps.freetalklive.com. Thanks again, JCOM. We appreciate you. All right. When we last left our heroes, that's us, by the way.
Yikes.
Steve Classic, Nikki, and the captain, our heroes. We were talking to a supervillain known as Sarah from New Mexico.
Okay, I am considered a supervillain.
No.
Well,
sure, why not?
Yeah.
You're just a regular villain?
I was at well, it's amazing that, how I'm doing this network marketing. And
yes, it is amazing considering you're a communist doing a capitalist activity.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, but it's just that I believe that it's a really good product.
Why?
All environmental.
Why do you
and
believe that?
natural, and it really helps people. And besides all that, and I went to the church and I gave her a really beautiful makeup catalog and how great the foundation feels on my skin and it's natural. And then people ask me, do you get commissions? Do you make money off of this? Do you get something out of it? Well, I get loyalty dollars, and then they're like, oh. And they get very, very irate or very, very angry, or they want nothing to do with
Sarah,
it.
you're basically telemarketing, except you're doing it in person.
That's very
capitalistic.
That's the whole point. It's like, okay, so I'm getting something out of it, but there's all these professions that really help people, like grocery stores. These are vital things, but they make money off of it.
Yeah,
but
that's capitalism.
Yeah, but the grocery clerk isn't coming to your church and shoving groceries down your throat. You're going into a church shoving brochures and products into people's faces when they're trying to go to church and have some worship going on. They don't want to get pitched.
Here's some makeup.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So if I told them I went to the Chinese restaurant over there and it's got great food, and I went, but as long as I'm not getting paid, they don't mind. But I went to the farmers market. I found a whole bunch of charcoal soap, and it's all organic. I was at the church talking about today. They didn't get mind, but they'll report me to the pastor, and they'll shut me up if there's some kind of a money that I'm making from it, some kind of a referral fee.
Yeah, but
you see what I'm saying?
But wouldn't you take your money and give it back to the church? So why should they be upset?
If there's some dollar sign or something that I'm getting out of it because I'm telling them something, that's when it makes it bad. That's when they say I'm soliciting. But if I went to the farmers market, they had kombucha tea and I had charcoal soap, all natural salve. I got. Oh, they could let me blabber on forever as long as I'm not getting anything out of it. But the thing is that my whole point is, okay, teachers, fire persons, everybody that works at fast food, they get paid money. They're providing a great service, and they're getting reimbursed with money. Okay. But that's not considered a evil thing. A lot of people make money doing things.
Multi-level marketing is considered evil because people have lost absurd amounts of money engaging in multi-level marketing. So it has, just like telemarketing, it has a horrible reputation. There are a few organizations out there that are seemingly legitimate with their operation. If that is an organization that you wish to join, that is your choice. But you still have to deal with the reality that is that multi-level marketing, what you're engaged in, has a horrible reputation that rivals the horrible reputation that telemarketers have.
Is that almost like a pyramid scheme?
Yeah.
So like you're at the top and your friends are down at the bottom?
You've got a down line, and whoever signs up below you, you get a piece of that action, and it sort of flows back up to you.
Okay. Okay, let's say it is a multi-level whatever network market. Okay, but so I was at the farmers market and I saw some like a earthy kind of people, environmentals, like 7 of them sitting down. So I told them, hey, have you heard about so-and-so products? It's really concentrated. We don't ship water. We put it in small plastic containers. It's environmental. It's all natural, and it's safe to clean around the hoses. And the first thing that came out of their mouth was, are you trying to sell me something? No, I told them, I'm just trying to tell you something. I'm not trying to sell you something, because if I'm selling you something, I would have the product with me, and I would want you to give me money for exchange of it. I'm not selling you something. I'm just trying to tell you something. And he says, no, get on by. I'm not interested. You know, the moment they figure that you have some kind of a commission or some kind of money involved,
I don't know if.
Well, welcome to the field of sales. I mean, this is how sales works. You bump into people, you try and sell them a thing, and they go, oh, no, I don't want any of that. And you go, okay, and you move on. Yeah,
it's
next.
like the telemarketing.
Sales is a numbers game, right? The only other way for you to handle the situation is to learn how to overcome their objections. If you could do that successfully, perhaps they will engage in whatever it is you're trying to get them to engage in. But either way, it's sales.
Well, it's like the Jehovah's Witnesses or the people that knock on your door. They're soliciting. Like, the majority of people don't, if they're just hanging out, minding their own business, they don't want you to come up to them and convert. People don't want to be converted to a religion. They don't want to be sold products. They're just, if they wanted that, they would seek you out. I think there needs to be a balance. And of course, in sales, it's a good idea to kind of put yourself out there and, do marketing and advertising. But there needs to be a balance where it's not like,
having done some sales, Sarah, some sales in my life, I can tell you what you're bumping into. And it's something called your shark teeth are showing, right? Now, this is a term that is in sales. Other salespeople have heard it before. There are 2 types of salespersons. There are sharks and there are farmers, right? What you're doing is the equivalent of cold calling, which is a shark activity, a shark salesperson activity. And you do wish to engage them in whatever it is you're doing. And when you don't get your way with them, you get frustrated. That's because your shark teeth are showing. You're too eager. You're not solving a problem for these people. You're pitching them cold.
Well, the reason I picked that farmers group, they're very environmental. They're all into recycling. Everything's organic and organic natural products, and that's all they have. So I go on to this next bunch of group, and they were kind of welcoming me. I don't know. I went to the next set. Hey, did you hear about our environmental products, non-toxic? We have plant enzyme for stain removers, bleach alternative we don't have ammonia and Clorox. We're they kind of listened to me, and they actually took my card. And then I told them to go onto the website and you research the company. And the next batch was kind of more friendly, and they were interested. But my introduction was, by the way, I'm the advertisement for so-and-so company. I'm the advertisement. I'm the commercial. I'm also a customer. The customers are the advertisement.
So
they're like,
Sarah,
well, that's nice.
Sarah, do you have little samples that you can give out, like little mini soaps or mini shampoos or whatever you're selling?
Well,
like if you're engaging with someone, like you get it, like, here, this is one. Just try this. You'll love it. Here's free.
That's what the drug dealers do,
right? You want some
Oh,
fentanyl?
no, I do that all the time.
You get a little bump, right?
Oh, yeah, no, I've been doing that. So what I do is I save a little bit of our natural laundry soap that's real concentrated.
You put it in a little baggie, tie it up in a knot.
I leave it in the container. What's special about this one is like the cheap ones is alkali. They tear up everything. That they consider your fabric and the soil and the dirt as they just eat everything up, and that's why you get holes in your clothes and it tears it up. So ours is targeted. They only go after the soils and the oil, and they leave the fabric alone.
It sounds like you're doing a little bit of multi-level marketing to us and the audience.
Yeah.
But
sure does.
I'm not concerned about the whole
I don't know if that's cool.
scheme of it. I'm concerned about the quality of the product. That's what I'm trying to get to the people.
Sarah,
why?
You know what? I just had an epiphany. I know exactly what you need to do. You need to take this particular issue that you're calling and talking to us about here and take it to somebody upline from you and say, hey, here's what I'm bumping into. How do I, get around this when I bump into this the next time? Because they'll be the ones best able to advise you. And thank you for the call tonight.
Send us some samples. If it works, we'll.
I don't want
push
any
it.
samples.
Yeah, I'm good on that.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
Would you like to join my religion?
I mean, it could be a good product. Who knows? I don't know. She's really enthusiastic about it. You never know.
I don't
give her the benefit.
She might
of the
have
doubt.
better luck selling drugs. I think
she might.
People actually want that.
She could put that soap on a $1 bill and drop it somewhere, and I'll just put it in my pocket. Wash me.
All right, let's talk about something interesting, like the crack smoking city councilman. What was his name? Matthew Riley.
Yeah, something.
Yeah. Confronted with the evidence, Riley admits to a relapse. Wait, did I skip something? Upon questioning, Riley initially denies the presence of any drugs in his vehicle. Statement that police later, proved false. They reportedly discovered crack with fentanyl. Okay, so confronted with the evidence, Riley admits to a relapse, citing a recent tough divorce as the trigger.
Oh, I'm a victim.
My wife left me, so I smoke crack.
Call a wambulance.
What is that episode of It's Always Sunny? Oh, did you get addicted to crack? Did somebody get addicted to crack?
But it's not personal woes that are at the heart of the matter, the article continues.
No.
It's the pressing issue of the fentanyl epidemic, a crisis that's tearing through communities.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, it could be the drug dealer who just doesn't like the councilman because he's raising taxes.
Irrespective of class or profession, and creating disturbing scenes like this, where politicians are found unconscious with a crack pipe.
That's disturbing.
Yes, let's blame the drug, not the choice that the crackhead made.
Disturbing.
Everything's a choice, people. Everything's a choice. You have a choice. Now I'm going to get some, former drug addict calling in and be like, I didn't have a choice when I did drugs. Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, every
There's
time
every
time you sparked it up, you had a choice.
There's a lot of talk about the mental illness aspect, and not even mental illness, because I'm sure a lot of addicts also do have a history with mental health.
Absolutely, they do. Yes.
But there's a lot of talk like, it's a disease. People really want it to be a disease because that takes away a lot of the responsibility.
Right.
And I think such an important aspect of getting clean and
recovery
is admitting
responsibility.
Responsibility. I made that choice and I have the power. It's maybe whatever, if it's a disease or not, I think that's just technicalities.
Yeah.
But I had the choice and now I'm choosing to not do that anymore. I think the disease part kind of just takes away,
I think the disease is associated so that insurance can pay for the treatment after.
Yeah.
So it's not coming out of your pocket. Oh, I had a disease. Okay, then we'll treat the disease. Here's your stay at a rehab center or whatever.
And I can kind of see both sides of it too, because I've had mothers who have lost children, share with me they felt really alone when their child overdosed and passed away.
Right.
And their perspective on it was kind of like, well, if my kid had cancer and died, everyone would be here for me and they'd, I would have more support, but since my child was an addict,
right,
they feel like a lot of shame and guilt, and there's so much stigma surrounding it that I don't know.
Yeah, it's a sticky wicket.
And the disease. If you never had access to alcohol, you would never become an alcoholic.
Yeah,
or a drug addict if it was never there. So you can't catch the disease. It's not a disease in that sense.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many layers of it. Like, it's a cultural thing. What we see
societal.
Societal. I mean, we see in lower income areas, there will be more drug use. It's just totally cultural.
Having been addicted to nicotine for a long, long time, it wasn't until my mind changed that I was able to quit. So, like, I knew smoking cigarettes was bad. I knew that I was killing myself. I knew I was wasting my money, but I couldn't quit. Yeah. I tried everything. I tried Chantix. I tried the nicotine gum. I tried the patches. I got one of the first e-cigarettes that ever hit the market, so I could like be doing that instead of doing the smoking because I figured that was healthier. And no matter what I did, I could not quit.
I have a conspiracy theory.
The reason that I was able to quit was philosophy. I quit for philosophical reasons.
This is, I think, my conspiracy theory. Go ahead.
Okay. So I was going on a rant. I was at a show, seeing a friend of mine's band. They had an area outside fenced in where you could have your drink and your cigarette at the same time. I'm out there. I'm talking to some people, and I'm doing what we kind of do here. I'm ranting about how you're all slave to the government, right?
Yeah.
And my friend Mike overhears this, and he comes over and he goes, so you really don't like being a slave, or you don't like slavery at all, right? And I'm like, that's right. I hate it. He's like, well, you're R.J. Reynolds' slave. You're their bitch. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, think about it, right? You give them your money. They're taking part of your life away. You're getting no benefit. They're getting all the benefit. And you keep giving them your money for what? Right? You're their slave. You're their bitch. And I was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And like, I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it. I went home that night, and I'm standing outside my front door because I don't smoke inside my own apartment. And I just had the epiphany. I'm like, I really am R.J. Reynolds' bitch.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So that's part of my conspiracy.
I'm like, I'm nobody's bitch. I put the cigarette out. That was the last cigarette I ever had. I didn't need Chantix. I didn't need nicotine gum. I didn't need, a prescription from my doctor. I didn't need the e-cigarette. I didn't need any of that. What I needed was to change my mind.
Willpower.
Yeah.
To get over that.
Yeah. And whatever it is that Mike, like I kept hearing is, you're R.J. Reynolds' bitch.
Yeah.
You're R.J. Reynolds' bitch.
See,
You're R.J. Reynolds' bitch.
I
repeating in my head that whole evening.
Yeah.
But I think that plus you could say, all right, well, you're giving, I don't know, how much is a pack of cigarettes? $10?
Right now, like $15.
All right, so
I mean, not in New Hampshire.
All right, so
but
let's just say $10 goes to R.J. Reynolds, but where does $5 go to?
The government.
Yeah, now that's the reason why I thought you were going to quit.
Oh, yeah.
How much money were you giving to the government?
Probably a lot.
Yeah.
See, that's my conspiracy theory.
But I mean, with any addiction, people need a good enough reason, whether it's sugar, cigarettes, drugs, alcohol, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's why you'll see a lot of women, they will not be able to smoke, like they are addicted. But once they get pregnant, that is, it's someone else's life. And that, I mean, I've seen so many friends that were, hard on drugs and cigarettes and whatever.
Yeah.
And the only thing that helped them quit was getting pregnant. And then once they have their baby, like 6 months later, they're smoking again.
They're back on.
They're
drinking
back
again.
on. They're back on.
I thought that would have changed them.
Not everyone. I had one friend who was doing heroin, like really bad, got pregnant, cleaned herself up, and like that was it. Like changed her life completely. I know a few people like that, but I also know a lot of people where they get pregnant, they quit smoking, and it's so easy. I mean, I don't want to say it's so easy for them, but they're able to do it almost instantly.
Right.
I'm pregnant. The second they find out, I don't want to smoke cigarettes anymore.
Right.
But once they give birth, because it's their life now. And obviously we can get into, being a parent and supporting your kids and, possibly dying.
But it is a change of mind at that point, right? Because now their mindset is, I'm two people now.
Yeah.
Instead of just one.
And then once they give birth, it's like, okay, well, this is my body again. I'm at the very least, not pumping something harmful into my child knowingly.
Well, except for secondhand smoke when you're around your kids.
Well, and of course.
I grew up on secondhand smoke. I'm okay.
We turned out fine.
Are you, Steve?
Well,
are you classic?
All right,
I grew up on firsthand smoke.
As far as I'm concerned, all you secondhand smokers owe me a half pack of cigarettes.
Oh, got
At least I didn't give my money. I didn't give my tax money to the government.
Free. That's a free half pack of cigarettes.
Right.
Thank you very much.
No money to RJR. No money to the government.
Yeah, and also I stopped going to convenience stores. Right, because when you're a smoker full time, you're always going to the convenience store for another pack of cigarettes.
Right.
Every day. You're
waiting in line, and like in front of you is like, all these candy bars and all this other stuff.
Right? Or you're getting rolling papers, or you're getting,
lottery tickets.
Milk. Oh, lottery tickets. Look at that. Whatever it is. you're not just getting a pack of cigarettes unless you're just so poor that's all you got. But constantly going to the convenience store and you're getting nickeled and dimed all the time. Like, well, all right, if this pack is $10, I got a 20 in my pocket. I guess I could buy this, I could buy that, I could buy the other. I could get a drink, I could get a hot dog, I could get some fried chicken, whatever convenience stores have, right? You know, you pick up stuff other than your cigarettes while you're there, so you spend more than just the pack of cigarettes.
Right. At an inflated price at a convenience store.
Nonetheless, yeah.
And not good quality stuff.
Right. And so all of a sudden, when I quit cigarettes, I was like, I have more money in my wallet now. That's when I became a beer snob. So I could afford better beer, like craft brews and stuff like that. I was like, I'm going to drink better beer from now on, which
the beer case
might not have been the best decision, but yeah, it is what it is. 603-283-6160. We'll talk more about this crackhead politician and what you can do with a Game Boy. Coming up, it's Free Talk Live.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this hospital.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me? Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Caroline Malone. The United States will provide F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine and help train its pilots as part of more military aid being offered to Kyiv, pledged from countries during G7 meetings. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky made it to Hiroshima in person over the weekend in order to continue his appeal. He met face-to-face with US President Biden and reassured him F-16s from the US would not be used to launch attacks inside Russia. Chris Gilbert is in Japan and has more on the main takeaways.
There was announced very suddenly that the Ukrainian president was not going to attend virtually like originally planned for months and months and months now. He was actually going to be on a plane from Jeddah to Hiroshima directly and join in the last day of talks. Having Zelensky at the meeting added an enormous weight to the whole thing, which really paralleled the events that were going on in his home country. It kind of switched from talks about sanctions to talks about empowering Ukraine to continue its struggle in this conflict by giving it, as the US is doing, $375 million extra for ammunition, artillery, rocket launchers and aid, extra investment in its energy sector to restore the power grid. It's not just restricting Russia, but empowering Ukraine became the name of the game.
While US President Biden had to rush home post-G7 to hold talks on resolving a debt crisis. He held a call with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy on the plane back. McCarthy said the call was productive and that they will meet in person on Monday. At stake is a possibility the US could default as soon as June the 1st if Congress doesn't agree to raise the debt ceiling. The US wouldn't be able to pay for social security programs or the salaries of government employees and members of the military. Republicans have called for $4.5 trillion in budget cuts. Biden says he's willing to offer some cuts, but there has to be tax negotiations as well.
I'm not going to agree to a deal that protects wealthy tax sheets and crypto traders while putting food assistance at risk for nearly 1 million Americans. It's time for Republicans to accept that there is no bipartisan deal to be made solely on their partisan terms.
And Equinor, Shell and ExxonMobil have agreed to a deal with the government of Tanzania for the development of a liquefied natural gas export terminal. Isaac Lukondo reports.
The agreement is a milestone for the long-delayed project to unlock Tanzania's vast but remote offshore gas resources. The agreement is said to contain details on rights and obligations for the host government, as well as a framework for production and profit sharing. In a statement, the chairman of Shell Tanzania, Jared Quayle, said the next steps towards realizing the project involves a period of detailed engineering design work. Tanzania says the cost of developing its liquefied natural gas project is estimated at $42 billion after a recent technical analysis. Once off the ground, it will become the largest energy project in Eastern and Southern Africa. Isaac Lukando, Dar es Salaam.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
And
we're cats.
Wow. That took a weird turn. Not sure where that came from. It is Free Talk Live, in case you were wondering. Like, why didn't they say, and we're back? They always say, and we're back. I guess last Sunday we didn't. We said, and your mother. A whole bunch. That was fun.
And we're cats.
And we're cats. Yeah. All right. Well, at any rate, the telephone number, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's
Nikki.
And
Steve Classic.
And
Captain.
And the captain.
All right,
The authentic Lord Reverend Dr. Captain.
Kickass.com.
Buckshot.
But
Esquire.
If you will.
There we go.
If you will.
If you will. Thank
Oh,
you.
man.
All right. You almost had it.
Anyways.
Before we go on with the rest of the show, liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians will all be gathering from June 15th through the 18th for the 7th annual Fork Fest at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Fork Fest is a fork of the Porcupine Freedom Festival, a.k.a. Pork Fest, which sold out in 2022 and looks to sell out in 2023 as well. This year, Pork Fest is occurring before, Fork Fest is occurring before Pork Fest. So immediately following Fork Fest will be this huge gathering of libertarians at the same campground. But Fork Fest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge and there's no ticket cost, unlike the other festival. All you have to do to join the fun is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 15th through the 18th. You can find out more at the unofficial website, forkfest.party. You can also connect with other attendees on the Forkfest Telegram and Matrix chat rooms and the Forkfest forum, and you can find links to all of that at forkfest.party. We hope to see you there, forkfest.party.
You know what? I want to say I'm a little disappointed in that live read because it doesn't even mention the 2nd annual mini golf tournament.
We'll have to talk to our copywriters, not copywriters, but copywriters, writers of copy, and see if we can get them to add something to that live read.
I feel like that's pretty important. I mean, that's why I'm going.
The wedding isn't important?
Oh, right. Yeah. I still wasn't sure if I was going to show up to that.
I'm disappointed that the bee man, if he's listening, the bee guy, the beekeeper, whatever his...
Oh, yes. Yeah,
he
they're
won.
not coming.
He
those people
he
are
pinged me
awesome.
once this year, and I was like, dude, are you coming? Because, we gotta challenge you for the crown. That you won the first annual mini golf, and he's like, yeah, we're not going to be there this year. We got another fest to go to or something. So,
lame.
Yeah. It's like, okay. So we'll just crown a new champion this year. It's fine. We'll get through it. Let's go to your calls and thoughts. We have, I'm going to butcher your name. Publius, is that it?
Publius.
Publius
with an S, like Sierra.
Okay. What's
You're
on your
saying
mind?
it really fast, too.
Yeah. Hey, well, hypothetical. I got just kind of a thought, and it's been kind of on my mind. Do you guys hang out together, all three of you? Do you ever go out to restaurants or bars?
All the time.
Do you ever have disagreements?
Yeah, all the time.
All the time.
Oh, yeah. We had a little disagreement about RFK tonight.
Yeah, we're a fiery bunch.
Okay, cool. Like me and my friends. And my family, too. So, okay. So
Wait. So, first of all, let me just lay the groundwork for you. Libertarians in general, or freedom-minded people, know that they are correct about many things, and they are. And then there's things that, like, when you get down underneath the surface stuff, that they all disagree about. Everybody's got a little bit of a different flavor on, like, I'm more anarchist and some people are less anarchist, or some people, like, there's little things that and so we really get into it. Like, there are epic discussions, epic, online things in the chat rooms. There's, at the gatherings, there's impromptu debates that happen. I support him, I support him, and I don't support him at all, and all that kind of stuff. So it happens
all peaceful.
It's all peaceful, but it happens all the time.
Sure. Yeah, cool. Sounds like me and my close relationships. So my question is this: if you were out having a discussion and maybe somebody wasn't agreeing, and I don't know Nikki, but what would you do if Nikki stood up and said, if you don't see things my way and you don't want to do it my way and you don't agree with me, that is the end of democracy.
Democracy?
Well, I'd have to think about that for a minute, because first of all,
I know what I would say.
First of all, I don't think democracy is a good idea. And so ending democracy sounds like a net positive for me.
Yeah.
But Nikki trying to force me to believe and think as she does not sound positive to me. So I'd be a little bit torn, because I would love to see the end of democracy as a way to, like, organize and, have society function. But at the same time, I'm not going to let Nikki tell me what to do and how to live my life, because I'm me.
I would ask, who are you working for?
Right. I would probably say you need to go jump in a cold lake and wake up. Or you might love ice baths. You might need to get checked out or something. But, the funny thing is, but it's not funny, but a lot of politicians say that now, and I'm not mentioning any names, but it's almost an insult, I think, to Americans, because it's an insulting comment, because I think they think that everybody is so dumb that they will just absolutely believe that and go along with whatever they're saying.
Yeah, it does seem to be a commonly repeated phrase. Yeah. Doesn't matter what flavor of politician, what colors they're wearing, whether they're with the Bloods or the Crips. I mean, the Republicans or the Democrats.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem to matter that, it'll be the end of freedom or the end of democracy or the end of the American way, which is like...
Yeah, I think my suggestion would be, I think it would be funny to do an experiment with, like, maybe 500 people and say, go say that to your best friends or your family members, and watch the expressions on their face, or write down the comments and maybe post it, and just throw it out there and say, well, if you don't agree with me and you don't want to do it my way, that's going to be the end of democracy.
That's it for us.
It's the end. So it's just something to think about.
Hey.
Yep. Thanks for having me on. Good night.
Hey, we appreciate the call. Call us again sometime. 603-283-6160.
Well, we were at dinner tonight. We were talking about RFK. You made a great point about
which was
RFK. Well, he's going to be at PorcFest.
He is.
And you said, well, he doesn't want anyone with guns coming into the event.
The pavilion, right?
The pavilion, right. And I thought, well, considering his family history with his uncle and his father, maybe I wouldn't want guns either.
Sure.
But you're at PorcFest.
Right.
Well, I mean, people don't have to go to that particular talk. I guess they're going to close off the pavilion, so...
Yeah, and
I mean, you can choose not to go over there. You can still have a gun everywhere else, and
which is what I'm going to do. I'm obviously not going to listen to some politician spew his BS.
I wouldn't anyways.
Who has no claim to any philosophy remotely connected to libertarianism. The only reason, as I understand it, that he's there is because he said some things about Bitcoin.
So.
That's the only reason he was invited, or he's going to be there, is because he said some things about Bitcoin that, like, are contrary to the rest of the government stance about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That's the only reason he's going to be there. That's not enough for me to go listen to him spew BS about why you should vote for him and blah, blah. Because when he gets in the chair, he's going to be just as psychopathic as everybody else.
I mean, there's very few politicians that I'll simp for, and this dude definitely isn't one of them. It has nothing to do with the fact I actually kind of respect that he doesn't want to have guns, whatever. I obviously won't go because I will be carrying the whole time.
Right.
But I respect that he, whatever. If people don't want to go to his talk, don't go to his talk. Who cares? But the fact that he's a, lizard person politician is the reason why I'm not going to his talk. It has nothing to do with any of the other drama.
It would be great, in my opinion, if, whoever arranged for this guy to be speaking at arguably the main stage at PorcFest, right? It would be great, in my opinion, if no one showed up.
It would be hilarious. I just don't know who is paying for it, because I'm assuming someone paid out of their own pocket for this guy and the
security
team.
Other guy. The security team has guns, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's ironic.
Yeah, weird.
What if they have to leave theirs in the tent?
The security team can have guns, but there's no danger of the security team turning on anyone?
Yeah.
Weird. They're not staying in a tent.
Yeah.
It just seems like not an appropriate place. I just don't.
It would be different as well, I think, if he was scheduled to debate some libertarian.
Oh, that would be cool.
Right? Or if it was, he wasn't going to give a speech and stump for his campaign. If he was just going to be there trying to learn. Like if he was just going to show up, if he got like a hotel room and he just showed up and participated,
I mean, that would be
and
like
started
humble.
interacting
we want
with
to hear
people,
some ideas
like
from you folks.
That to me would be a way better way for him to go about it than
politicians
put me on
aren't
the
humble.
stage and gotta have that rock star treatment,
it's
right?
It's the ego.
And so, like, any of those other things should have happened, and they're not happening. There, as I understand it, there's going to be no debate with libertarians, and this is hearsay, so don't quote me on this, but I heard that there will also be no question and answer. So libertarians can't even ask this guy libertarian questions. And like how? So what? It's a one-way communication.
It's a one-way conversation.
He's just going to preach to us about why we should vote for him.
It's just totally not the
Get the
vibe
F out.
of PorcFest.
Right.
And obviously, like, it's PorcFest. You can kind of do whatever you want. Like, choose your experience.
Choose your own adventure.
And is he an expert on Bitcoin?
No.
I
doubt it.
He has just said things
It's laughable.
that some libertarian crypto enthusiasts identify with. Like, he has taken the opposite stance of most government and said, no, Bitcoin is the future or something along those lines.
Right.
He thinks Bitcoin
So
is
maybe
legitimate.
maybe he's just going to talk about that.
Maybe.
But I mean, like, this is how it is.
But, like, I mean...
And walk around the crowd and shake hands and get some ideas.
Yeah, kiss babies.
Me, personally, I've been into Bitcoin longer than this guy has.
Right.
And, like, is he going to really,
tell anybody anything?
Divulge anything of real value that I've not heard before or can't go find myself?
But, I mean, he may have some insights.
No, he's just going to talk about how he's going to use government,
how you can contribute to his campaign with
to
your
regulate
Bitcoin,
and how he can get Bitcoin for himself, and how he's going to use government to safely regulate the cryptocurrency industry.
Yeah. So, and this is what happens: politicians will say one thing right, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh," simping over them.
Right.
They're all the same. They're all scumbags. So the same with Ron DeSantis. He said like two things that people were like, "Oh, he's a freedom guy." He's not a freedom guy.
No. Make America great again. Yeah, like wait.
Again.
Hold on. I'm 50, and I'm trying to remember when America was great.
Probably when it was inhabited by the Native Americans.
Before I was born, at least. So.
Well, I don't know if America was great, but when you were a kid growing up, it was kind of great. Like everything was great.
I did go to a theme park in Gurnee, Illinois, repeatedly, called Great America.
Oh, is that what they're talking about?
Maybe what he meant was, let's all go to a roller coaster.
Let's make America great America.
Let's all go to Great America again.
I'll go to
Make
Great
America, New Hampshire.
Field trip.
Right.
Let's all get on the bus. Do you have your permission slip?
No.
That reminds me. I went on a field trip in school in had to have been 8th grade. And this was right around the dawn of heavy marketing for non-alcoholic beer.
O'Doul's.
Yeah. It wasn't O'Doul's. It was some other brand. I can't remember the brand.
Near beer?
But it was non-alcoholic beer. And I also bought a bottle of the sparkling water that looks like champagne. It's the champagne bottle,
champagne,
but it's not champagne. There's no alcohol, and it's just basically fruit juice with
But
bubbles.
do you still
So
have to
I
be...
bought
like Martinelli's
listen,
or something? Sparkling
I
cider?
bought a 6-pack of non-alcoholic beer and a bottle of non-alcoholic sparkling, and I took it on the bus to the field trip that we were going on, and I got it taken away from me, and I got reprimanded for it.
No
Why?
alcohol.
No alcohol.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
So I think
Like
you
they're like,
do
well, you
have
can't bring
to be...
beer on it. It's like it's not beer. It's not
Yeah,
alcohol.
it's like, look at it. It says 0% alcohol,
Yeah, right.
idiot. But I think you do have to be 21 to buy O'Doul's.
Really?
Yeah, you do.
Wow.
I did not at the time.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that-
laws might
yeah.
have changed.
Yeah, I'm old.
But last time I was a bartender,
I'm gonna have
we
to
would
check the
card
magic
people
rectangle
for
on that
O'Doul's, and it was
To
kind
be
of like
in a bar, you have to be 21.
no, even to
Unless you're
purchase
with a-
the O'Doul's. Like if you're sitting at like a table in a restaurant and you're like, oh, can I get an O'Doul's? You have to be technically 21 years old.
Wow.
I don't know why. Maybe there's like a small amount of alcohol in it.
There is a
but-
tiny bit of alcohol in it. It's true, but there's no more alcohol in it than is in like a piece of candy.
Yeah,
Right, that kind of
exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
I will say that one of my relatives growing up was diabetic and could not drink the alcohol, but still liked beer.
Yeah.
And would over-purchase like different brands to try them, right? They'd I'll buy a 12-pack of this, see how I like it. Oh, I don't like it. What non-alcoholic beer is good for is marinating meat.
Okay.
Right? You don't need the alcohol
Get that
in the
flavor.
beer to marinate the meat. So if you want to, simmer some sausages in the beer, like bratwurst, for example, or if you want to tenderize some pork chops, you put them in a Ziploc, pour some non-alcoholic beer in there, along with some, teriyaki sauce or some soy or something, some seasonings if you want to, throw some garlic in there, let it sit in your fridge overnight, and then make that steak the next day or that pork chop the next day, and it'll be delicious.
Is it better than alcoholic beer?
No.
Okay.
Well,
So
you
wouldn't
might
you
as well.
just use?
Well, you could, but I'm just saying, like, here was an unused,
okay.
source of non-alcoholic beer, which I totally wasn't going to drink because, let's face it, I was in
No.
it to get drunk.
Yeah, let's do something with it.
Yeah,
I get you.
But
I'm
like,
picking up what you're putting down.
Here's a resource that I can use for cooking that's not going to waste perfectly good beer that'll get you drunk.
Yeah, cool.
Beer can chicken, it's good for.
Yeah.
If you've never made beer can chicken, it's awesome. I don't know why
Well,
I'm talking
I
about this, but-
I brought this up on the magic rectangle here. It says federal law classifies beverages under 0.5% alcohol as non-alcoholic. So O'Doul's has 0.4% alcohol. Many states pose no restrictions on the purchase of those beverages, but some do, as do some counties or cities within states that would otherwise legally allow it.
Okay.
So-
So that's a Massachusetts thing then.
Well, it's probably other states
Yeah, of
too,
course, but-
It
for
says
sure.
O'Doul's doesn't fall on the register of beverages with more than 0.5%,
Yeah.
so kids can drink it. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know why you would drink beer if it doesn't do anything. For you.
Yeah,
it's just like
it's
not
like
very
why don't you get a better drink? You know,
right.
Especially
Kids would rather
O'Doul's.
have
Like O'Doul's isn't even
Sprite.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, again, I found a great use for it.
Yeah.
It's cooking. If you have a recipe that calls for, soaking something in beer or whatever, why, that's where you need to go. You need to use it for cooking. I have something I'm trying to accomplish.
You're a real rebel on that field trip.
I'm not really sure what's going on here. But yeah, I mean, like, did I do it to be cool? Yeah, I did. I was like, hey, everybody, check
Right.
it out.
See what I can get away
I
with.
got non-alcoholic beer. Let's
and some
party in the back of the
champagne,
bus,
yeah,
right? And that's what we were doing, too.
Yeah.
Like, here, Bill, how about, I don't know what the kid's name
Yeah.
was. But, like,
It's
he's
always
like, yeah, and then here comes the
chaperone.
Here comes the
Fun
chaperone.
police. Wee wee
Yeah.
wee.
Taking away the fun. Yeah. So, what were we talking about?
Crackhead politicians.
Oh,
I think we
yeah.
beat
Oh,
that
yeah.
one.
No,
as
we
well.
wanted to talk about
The
this
Game
real
Boy.
quick. The Game Boy,
Oh,
this is from
yes.
Bitcoin.com. Game Boy owner. Remember the Game Boy? Little handheld
Oh
thing?
yeah, I love
the
Game
red
Boys.
buttons,
Yeah, before they, I don't know what the new ones are.
The
but
Switch.
The Switch, yeah, thank
Yep.
you. Game Boy is old school, OG, handheld gaming at its finest. Game Boy owners can soon convert iconic devices into secure hardware wallets. In the near future, Game Boy owners will have the opportunity to convert their devices into a hardware wallet for cryptocurrencies. The project, known as Game Wallet, was unveiled by Joseph Shirizi, a developer hailing from Keyp, a Web3 startup, Keyp. By employing a physical cartridge, this innovation enables users to harness the power of their Nintendo Game Boy device as a secure cold storage wallet for crypto assets. I think that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Giving a new purpose to an old device that there's probably a bazillion of them laying around doing jack, right? No purpose. Yeah. Nobody's playing them. To give a device like that. And also, I want to see the interface. I want to see the screen on the Game Boy. Like, well, how does it look?
I know, it's actually pretty funny.
Press the buttons.
Is it the old Game Boy font? Did they go, did they keep it within the, or is it new? Is it refreshed?
Yeah.
Did they do something to, sort of make the graphics appear different?
I don't think they'd be able to with the graphics, because a lot of that has to do with like the actual composition of the screen, right? So I don't know if it would be able to.
I'm sure they wouldn't be able to like come up to like modern specs on it, but
it's black and white.
It would be neat to me if they were able to sort of keep the nostalgia going with their screen presentation, with the UI that they put in it. There's a quote here that says, "So we're producing a real physical cartridge that lets you use your Game Boy as a cold storage wallet, generate mnemonic phrases, and save them securely offline." Shirizi tweeted, "No firmware updates ever." That's a feature.
Sold.
Yeah. Anybody got a Game Boy?
I do not, but I'm going to go on
eBay?
On some site here and see what they're going for.
Randomness for generating the keys is introduced by the player as they walk around the world and complete fun requests,
so it's a
RPG style.
It's a real game?
That's what it says. Randomness for generating the keys is introduced by the player as they walk around the world and complete fun quests RPG style.
Oh, that's awesome.
They have a screenshot here of, the little players in like what looks like a forest. It says, "I can generate you a new seed phrase." So it does look nostalgic. It's got the old school font and all that kind of stuff. And the, terrible graphics, the 8-bit graphics.
Yeah.
So it looks like you can get one of these bad boys for like $100.
Yeah, I see 139, 119.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like the cost of a new hardware wallet.
Yeah, but this is cool.
But what happens when it craps out?
And then you also have to buy the cartridge on top of it.
I mean, I suppose if you already have one, it's pretty cool.
If you already have one, that'd be best, yeah.
I'd probably go with a Razer.
I mean, I would buy one just to play it normally, just for nostalgic purposes, to be honest.
And then just check out how much Bitcoin you get. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Now put Donkey Kong back in. Oh, Mario Brothers, Bitcoin. Mario Brothers, Donkey Kong, Bitcoin.
Would you rename it Coin Boy?
Coin Boy?
Game Coin?
Game Coin?
Maybe Game Coin. I don't know.
Oregano.
It's Ida Oregon, okay?
Ida Oregon, I'm sorry.
Back in April of 1989, Nintendo unleashed the 8-bit handheld gaming device known as the Game Boy in Japan. Fast forward to March 2021, and a YouTuber decided to push the boundaries of Game Boy's capabilities and release a video showcasing an audacious feat: mining BTC Bitcoin using the iconic device. I didn't know that.
Mining?
happened.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this just keeps like layers.
Yes. So, however, it quickly became apparent that the Game Boy's humble processing power paled in comparison to today's cutting-edge mining rigs.
You don't say.
Another individual embarked on a similar venture in 2013, developing an NES cryptocurrency miner. Although both mining experiments with Game Boy and NES were intriguing and fun, their practical value paled in comparison to something with actual utility. The Game Wallet project has even established a dedicated website. Oh, I didn't know that.
Whoa.
Shame on me.
The Game Wallet.
GameWallet.gg. GameWallet.gg. There's a picture of it. It says, turn any Game Boy into secure offline cold wallet. Generate a seed phrase using a hash of your button presses as you walk around and complete quests. The future of digital sovereignty is in your hands, packaged in a truly offline hardware wallet with the certainty of no firmware updates. That is one of the most annoying things about having a hardware wallet is if you go too long without doing a firmware update, you have to do multiple updates.
Yeah. I hate updates.
And that's just such a pain.
Get me a Game Boy. Get me a Game Boy.
We're out of time. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Steve Classic, for joining me here on Free Talk Live tonight. Thank you to all of our callers, and most importantly, you, our listeners. We appreciate you. Thanks, and peace.
Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash Digital Cash. Dash is the cryptocurrency designed to be used for spending. In addition to being one of the world's first cryptocurrencies, Dash was the first crypto project to have a decentralized autonomous organization that to this day continues to improve and promote Dash. Every month, 10% of the mining rewards go into a treasury. Anyone with one Dash to spend can put forward a proposal to the Dash masternodes to vote on. The masternodes vet the proposals and decide which ones move forward and are funded by the Treasury. In fact, that's exactly how we got this sponsorship. Nowadays, DAOs are plentiful, but Dash paved the way by doing it first, nearly a decade ago. Dash is one of the oldest crypto